Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the Britain Sports Network. Jim Butler along with Jim Bellamy here on a rainy Saturday afternoon, and we're about to play football here at College this afternoon in Holland, Michigan. And Jim, kind of a nice afternoon for football. At least it's not quite as rainy as it was at Olivet a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it definitely isn't as rainy as Olivet, and Ken and I on the commute up today shared that nasty word that delayed the game last time at Olivet. We don't want to see any of the L word today.
Yeah.
As long as it rains and as long as it's overcast, that's fine. We just want to get a good 60 minutes of football in on senior day at Hope College, and hopefully the Britons can come close to wrapping up the season on a 3-game win streak.
That would be a big plus. Obviously this afternoon it's a big football game. Hope sits in the number 2 slot here in the MIAA, but they have no opportunity to move forward on that as they've already lost to Trine. So Trine, basically ranked 25th in the country, sits on top with a perfect 8-0 and a perfect 6-0 in the conference, and they're headed for their conference championship. You would expect here this year on their rainy Saturday afternoon. But around the conference here today, we've got a situation where Adrian is at Olivet, Trine is at Alma, Kalamazoo is at Rockford, and we are over here in lovely Holland, Michigan with the beautiful weather that we're going to have. But it's not as bad as we said as it was at Olivet the other week. It is kind of cool. It is a little bit rainy, but the rain is off and on. The wind is gusts here and there. But in watching the kickers, Jim, before as they were practicing, both kickers really were doing pretty well from 40 yards and 40 yards plus. It looks like the wind basically not affecting the ball here all that much.
I think if you look at the field, and granted we're doing an audio broadcast, so we'll be your eyes and ears today, but for those of you unfamiliar with the field here, it's in a little bit of a recessed area. It's a little bit under, ground level. You look over to your right, looks like there's a cemetery over there and a major road over there. Quite a bit of elevation up to that road, so it's definitely an advantage when it comes to if it is windy. It's probably not going to impact the field down here as much as it does the treetops behind the stadium. Really a cool setting. You're right down by the waterfront, beautiful downtown area here in Holland. And, this is a really nice field, my first opportunity to see it.
The Flying Dutchmen come in today 6-2 overall and 4-1 in the conference. For the Britons, they enter this afternoon's ball game at 3-5 overall and 1-3 in the conference. But I think they're starting maybe to put a few things together now. The freshman quarterback Kyle Thomas starting to grow up. He had a nice afternoon last week where basically he hooked up for 3 touchdowns last week and played about as good a game as he has played all season long in that big win that they had against Wisconsin Lutheran. And a ball game that I think the Brits were happy to come in after a 48-14 win. And as you said, trying to grab one here on the road before they end next week at back home with Kalamazoo.
There's 2 teams going in with matching 2-5 records, so you certainly didn't know what to expect with that long trip. Over to Milwaukee, however, the Britons had a 20-14 halftime lead, and as Jim mentioned, Kyle Thomas threw for 3 touchdowns, and 2 of those touchdowns went to Brian Blanzy. Overall, he had 213 passing yards. The team had a really good balance of run and pass, 213 through the air, 136 on the ground. They lost the time of possession battle, but that's the one battle you don't mind losing when you're way up on the scoreboard. And a big part of why Wisconsin Lutheran had the advantage in time of possession was that the Britons also scored 3 defensive touchdowns. So you put points on the board with no time of possession, kind of hard to beat that.
That's exactly what the Brits would like to see here this afternoon, and it has been a defense that has become a little bit opportunistic here as the season has gone on. But the defense they're going to play against here this afternoon is also opportunistic, and a young fellow, Zach Telfor, comes in today as the MIAA Defensive Player of the Week. Last week he had a really big game and had a couple sacks, 10 tackles, a couple of other tackles for loss, and he was the Player of the Week here this week for the MIAA defensive side of the football. And he will be one of the young men that the Brits are going to have to really try to figure out how to slow down here this afternoon. Another gentleman that is a difficult and a handful, he's one of the seniors, Griffin Weigel. Weigel with 5.5 sacks on the year and 11.5 tackles for loss on the season is a young fellow that you want to try to keep out of your offensive backfield, if at all possible, if the Brits are really going to have an opportunity to make this W coming out of Hope here this afternoon.
9 tackles and 2 sacks last week in the game against Kalamazoo. And if you look at the statistics of that game, Jim, that's another case where time of possession, a 9-minute edge for Hope, but you look at the stats are mind-blowing. 284 passing yards compared to 101 for Hope. The rushing yards, though, Jim, this is where the game really turned around. 309 rushing yards for the Dutch, 4 rushing yards for Kalamazoo. And again, granted, you fall behind 13-0 at half, 29-0 at the end of 3 quarters. You're probably not going to run a run offense. You're going to have to put the ball up in the air pretty much exclusively. And the defense was able to pin its ears back and get after the quarterback. They did a good job with 4 total sacks as a team. And they also had a fumble recovery. And so, that was a dominating performance. They did turn the ball over 2 times. And as you mentioned, with the Britons forcing, I believe it was 6 turnovers in their game against Wisconsin Lutheran. That's a potential game changer edge for the Britons, but it's like you said, opportunistic defense. They're going to have to force the Dutch into making those kind of plays where they can take advantage. Maybe get them into a 3rd and long, obvious passing situation, and see if the DBs can jump some routes and make some things happen.
Well, on the offensive side of the football for the Dutch here this afternoon, the one young man that is really going to stand out, stood out all year long, Brandon Campbell. They're fine. Running back, he's number 2 in the conference right now. Campbell already 152 totes for 1,011 yards, about 6.7 yard average, and he's the type of guy that can break one for 50 if you go to sleep just a little bit, and that has been one of the difficulties for the Britons this year, allowing somebody like him, holding him down. The next thing you know, he busts one for 45, 50 yards. This afternoon is going to be really imperative to be able to keep Brandon Campbell out of the end zone, if at all possible.
2,372 yards for his career. He recently passed Greg Voss and Todd Holstedge, graduates both from the 70s into the 80s, and he's moving up in 6th place now in the all-time rushing yards total for the Flying Dutchman. Last week scored on runs of 16 and 52 yards, and as you mentioned, Jim, with the big play opportunity for Campbell and the Britons' defense showing an occasional propensity to have a big run broken against them. They're really going to be tested today in terms of that big play opportunity. Senior day is going to be one of those days, it always is when you travel, where that team is going to come out really fired up, and you get the guy who's 6th all-time for the school and wanting to move up. I think he has 25 total touchdowns and 11 this season, so it's really made a big difference this year on the ground, and they're going to want to get him established early. So run defense is definitely going to be tested for the Britons.
Campbell is 5'10". He's 211 pounds. He's a senior out of Otsego, Michigan, as you said, Jimmy. And last year we did a decent job back at our place at Albion in keeping him corralled, but he did break one off on the very first series of the game for 54. Past that, we held him relatively in check. Went over 100 that day, but when you figure he's got a touchdown run of 54 yards in the first quarter, and then you stifle him, keep him out of the end zone the rest of the afternoon, you've done a pretty reasonable job, I would think.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those players that's going to break a big play. You just hope that big play doesn't result in a touchdown and that it doesn't come in a very pivotal moment for the game. If he's going to break one, let him break a 50, 60-yard run, get it down to about the 30-yard line, and then force him into a potential field goal, as opposed to a 50, 60-yard run that opens the floodgates and starts Hope in a kind of a downhill snowball effect. So, like I said, the Britons' run defense is definitely going to be tested. I don't have any doubt that the Flying Dutchmen are going to want to establish the run early and dominate the time of possession. Their defense, very opportunistic. They're scoring just over 32 points a game, giving up just under 19 a game. And rushing, as I mentioned, 223 on the ground for the Dutch, only 118 per game for their opponents. where the Britons could make up a little bit of ground. In the passing game, they are being slightly outgained, about 170 to 163. So, there's a little bit of an edge for the opponents in the passing game, but I think a big part of that comes from the score of some of these other games.
Yeah.
Once a game gets out of hand, as we mentioned before, you're not going to run the ball and try to dominate time of possession and eat clock. You're going to try to score and get yards in as big chunks as you can, and you really do that through the air. However, the Britons can get big chunks of yardage on the ground running those draw plays, and so I still expect, even if they fall behind by a couple scores, I still expect to see that as a staple in the offense today.
We're about 10 minutes away from the kickoff of the football game today, and it looks like the rain has stopped for the short term, but the forecast this afternoon for this area is pretty much rain, and then a little more rain. And I don't believe it's going to be quite the rain that we saw a couple weeks ago at Olivet. It's going to be more of a drizzle and a light rain this afternoon, just like it's falling right now. That's what we're hoping for here this afternoon here at Hope. And we're hoping for a big win here this afternoon. Now, last year, you go back, Jimmy, it was a 16-13 win for the Dutch at our place. As we already mentioned, Campbell with a big 54-yard run. Another real weapon for this football team is their kicker, Darren Ford. And in that ball game last year, he hit 3 field goals, 2 of them 46-yarders, which were the longs in the history of Hope football at that point in time. But he hit 2 of them that afternoon against the Britons, and it really was the difference in the football game as we lost 16-13. If you do remember, though, the Britons had the football late in the ball game. It was a ball game where it was Blanzy to Blanzy that day. Sam Blanzy and Brian Blanzy really hooked up for the afternoon and were playing pretty well. But it was a pass down deep into Hope territory at the end of the ball game that looked like it was going to set us up on the 2-yard line. Unfortunately, there was a holding call. It brought us back to about the 40-yard line, and at that point in time, the game was pretty much decided. But in that afternoon, again, Doug Freeman with a big afternoon, 2 touchdowns. Neither one of them were 54 yards, but both of them counted just as well as that 54-yarder that Hope ran off against us last year. So I would expect this afternoon you are going to see a ball game that is predominantly going to be ground-based. But the wind's not all that bad, so the ball's probably going to find its way in the air here at Hope as the afternoon goes on.
Well, and, you and I talk about that, I think, almost every week when we look at the flags atop the goalpost and we see, like today, for example, not a whole lot of movement. As I mentioned, the field a little bit recessed compared to some of the surrounding areas. So the wind maybe not as big a factor as it could be if the field is a little more elevated. But every time we think that the wind is going to impact the game, and well, surely they're not going to throw the ball, then a team comes out and throws the first 2 or 3 plays, whether it's the opponent or the Brits. They'll go 30, 40 yards downfield on the first play, and it'll look perfect. And so, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And I think the defenses need to be ready to expect the unexpected when it comes to things like that. We always talk about how when it's windy, special teams certainly becomes all that more critical. On the season, only 6 of 8 in field goals for Hope. They're giving up 50%, 3 of 6. What I found interesting in the stats, though, Jim, is, you talked about a really good kicker for the Dutch, 29 of 34 on PAT attempts. So he's left 5 PATs off the board. And that's also something that, if it's a tight game and, you push an extra point, then you have to start chasing points. You have to go for 2 and things like that. So, having missed 5 PATs so far this season, the Brits will want to do a really good job in the red zone if Hope gets down in the red zone, holding them to field goal attempts. Again, only 8 field goal attempts on the season. And we're, quite a bit into the season now, game 9. So, they're scoring obviously a lot more than they're settling for field goals. Today's the day, I think, where you want to try to get them to settle for field goals, and then you kind of see what happens with your special teams. Yeah,
no doubt about that. Well, it should be an interesting ball game this afternoon. One of the keys for me this afternoon is to watch the sophomore quarterback here perform for Hope. Mason Oppel is the young man's name. He is a good-sized young fellow, 6'2", 235-pounder. And he's coming in here out of Hudsonville, Michigan. In fact, when you look at this team, he and both the Boss brothers, David and Christian Both of them out of Hudsonville, Michigan, so guys who have played together for quite a while. But this is a fella here who is number 2 in the conference at this point in time. I'm sorry, he is number 3 in the conference right now in passing. But he's only a sophomore. Okay, he's had his year, which has been a pretty good one. 96 throws completed out of 166 for 1,210 yards. Averages about 15.1 yards per catch. But he's also rushed the ball 90 times for 370 yards. Has 9 touchdowns, but he's also fumbled the ball 3 times. So the big fella could be a little difficult to deal with, just like we had some troubles a couple of weeks ago with the big quarterback out of Trine. But, you know, he could be one of the keys to this football game this afternoon. The Brits going to also have to key not only on the big running back in that backfield, but also that quarterback who's not afraid to keep the ball and tuck it and tote it around the end.
And also spelling on relief, Chris Lee, for the Flying Dutch. Gets about 44 yards a game. He has played 6, hasn't started, so he comes off the bench. But he might be a depth option today if they need to spell Campbell. And it's going to be somebody who, when he comes on the field, sometimes you bring that second running back, you think you're just giving your number 1 a break, and you're probably going to go play action or something. You know, he's also capable of toting the rock too. So you're going to need to pay attention if Lee checks in as well.
Should be an interesting afternoon. It's chilly out here. It's windy out here. There will be rain throughout the afternoon. But it's football time here at Hope College on a Saturday afternoon as the Cadillac Viking Band here today. They were the ones that drew this final Saturday afternoon here at Holland, and they're playing at this point in time the national anthem behind us. We don't have a field mic here this afternoon, so you probably can't hear it, so we'll just kind of keep everything quiet and keep it right here on the field. About 4 minutes away from the kick this afternoon here on the Britain's Football Network. All right, our national anthem here in the background. I'm not sure whether you could hear it all that well or not, but we wanted to step away and not try to talk over top of that here this afternoon. All right, enough about the Flying Dutch right now. The Brits come in here this afternoon with a football team that seems like maybe is starting to figure a few things out. Had a little problems early on, but played in most of these games, or were in most all these games all year long. Now's a chance maybe to a little payback from last year where Hope came our way, Jimmy, and nudged us by 3. What a great way to make week number 9 successful in trying to figure out a way to nudge them here a little bit and take a win back to Albion this afternoon.
And interestingly enough, they are looking for their first 3-game win streak since October 31st to November 14, 2015.
Wow.
That was the playoff season. They beat Olivet, Alma, and Aurora in that 3-game stretch, I should say, going into the postseason. Of course, they lost that playoff game, I believe, in Wabash when they had the snowstorm.
One of the craziest Saturday afternoons in Division III football, no doubt about that.
It was like a 45-minute delay for them to plow the field and get this, because they couldn't they couldn't see anything. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think how explosive a team we have seen from the Britons the last 3 plus years that we've been doing these games. And this is an opportunity for their first 3-game win streak in 2 years. So, Coach Rundle definitely looking for win number 3. And, if they're fortunate enough to get this one today, finish up at home and maybe even end the season on a nice 4-game stretch. But, ultimately today, I think it's going to come down to a good balanced offense, keeping the defense of the Dutch on the field. And, of course, if you're running sustained drives, you're keeping that pretty potent Hope offense off the field. So you want to sustain the drives. You want to win the field position battle. Don't want to turn it over, but want to force a couple of turnovers yourself.
No doubt about that. Well, coming in this afternoon, the Kyle Thomas was starting to really get a nice rapport going on with Brian Blanzy. As you said last week, he had a big week. The only really receiver last week that went over 100 yards for the Britons, but it does seem like there's some chemistry started between those two now as we hit into week number 9.
And I think that if you're scouting, and I have to think that all of the MIAA teams are, if you look at Thomas DeBlanzy, any coach worth their salt is going to take away the primary threat on offense with its defense. So, an opportunistic defense, number one, they're going to get after the quarterback. Thomas being a young, mobile quarterback, maybe they're going to try to push him up the middle and break that pocket so he's not able to scramble and keep the plays going, and maybe see if he can have to force it to Blanzy. And then maybe you see some safety help on Blanzy, doubling him or shadowing him. And, I'd have to think that that's a big part of what the game plan is going to be for the Dutch. I think you're going to get a lot of push up the middle, maybe some linebacker support, getting after the quarterback, trying to set the edge to keep Thomas from scrambling and keep the running game going inside. And then if you can double on Blanzy, because that's where the ball's going most of the time, you'd have to think that that is a pretty decent blueprint. However, for Coach Rundle and his staff, I think you have to know that as well. And you have to see, who is my number 2, 3, 4 option. You have to go through your progression a little bit more, and that's something that a young quarterback needs time to figure out. I think he's just about at that point. Hopefully today's the day where you have the security blanket of Blanzy. Now you start spreading the wealth to some of the other receivers. Get the backs out of the backfield. The tight end maybe get involved a little bit more, and you see him start to spread the wealth and keep the defense guessing.
The coin toss just completed here on the field. Hope won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so the Britons will have the football to open up the ball game today. Here's how we expect to see it play out today. It'll be Kyle Thomas at quarterback. We'll see quite a bit, I believe, of Marlon Martin today, number 4, Sean Koski, number 9. Zarnecki will be one of the running backs along with Colin Poore. Oftentimes we'll see Doug Freeman, I'm sure, the senior here today. Colby Canfield will be a receiver that we saw 2 weeks ago when Martin was trying to get healed, and we'll see that freshman quite a bit. I'm assuming this afternoon. Tyler Sykes, Zach Kitka, Kyle Winchell, and Brian Blanzy, the tight ends, as we get things going here this afternoon. And the Britons will send Colin Poore back deep. He will be on the home sideline, and Rayshawn Robinson will be on the visitor's sideline. To give you an idea, the Britons will be going from your left to your right. If you're going to try to follow along mentally here this afternoon, they are dressed in their white unis today with the gold pants, the gold helmets, and the purple numbers and trim. And for Hope this afternoon, they have their orange pants on with their black jerseys, orange numbers and trim, and their orange helmets with their black trim. And they will kick off from their 35-yard line as we've got 15 minutes on the clock, and we're ready to play football here at Smith Stadium on the campus of Hope College.
Hope looking a little bit like the Syracuse Orange.
Yeah, they are,
similar
aren't they,
colors, yep.
This ball
Short
will go
kick
to Rayshawn. It'll bounce in front of him at the 12-yard line. He picks it up and heads back towards the center of the football field, looking for a block. Will not find one. Crosses the 20, gets knocked down at the 22. It will be first down and 10. Britons from there as we open everything up here this afternoon. Great to have you with us here. Audio only this afternoon on the Britons Network. We will be with you again next week with full video as we wrap up the season at home against Kalamazoo.
98, Peyton Scogan on the tackle, the freshman tight end playing special teams, and that's how you make a name with your coach, is you make yourself available in multiple phases. Show no fear going down on special teams to make a stop.
Zarnecki will be the running back. He'll be to the left of Thomas, who's in the pistol. And they will turn and toss to Colin Poore. A little screen as he came off his flanker on the home side, went behind the quarterback. They throw it to him, tries to get around the visitor sideline, gets ahead for maybe a yard, maybe they'll give him 2. Set up a second down and 2. So that little flanker screen as they had doubles on both sides to get things started. Now there's triples here on the home side. That's the wide side of the field. Single receiver on the top side. Again, Zarnecki in the backfield. They hand it Pat. Pat right up the center of the football field. He's got the first down across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. It'll be a nice pickup of about 13. First down and 10 Brits.
And if you saw, Jim, the defensive backs for the Dutch right there, press coverage, nobody more than, say, 5-6 yards off the line of scrimmage. So you open up the run, play action comes next.
Blanzy is the tight end, and he is split out here on the home sideline. They've got triples on this side, and they will throw that way. And that was going to be intercepted, I believe. Nope, it was going to be dropped I'll tell you what, all the way they were looking for Colin Poore. The ball was thrown out and was dropped there by 24.
Jacob Pardonnet, yep.
Pardonnet. And Pardonnet had an easy interception there, but just couldn't bring that wet ball into his hands.
I think that one might have short-hopped him there, Jim.
2nd down and 10. Zarnecki to the left of the quarterback in the backfield, and they'll hand it to Pat. Pat tries to come right up the middle of the football field. He'll get short yardage to about the 40-yard line, maybe 2. So it'll set up a 3rd down now and 8 on that draw play.
Really, if you look at the defensive front for the Dutch, Jim, not what you expect to look at from a D-line. They look a little taller, a little lankier, but also a little more athletic.
3 down linemen, 5 linebackers as this one is thrown out to Poore, but it'll be short of Poore at the 45-yard line. It will set up a 4th down as Kyle Thomas basically threw 2 little passes too short, and it will set up a 4th down, and they'll have to kick this football away. Alex Van Vliet will drop back deep for Hope. He'll stand at his 10-yard line.
And, Jim, that those 2 passes that came up short, not a whole lot of arms, so you wonder what kind of effect that wind really does have out there right now. Bad
Trying
snap.
to get a hand on it here. High snap, but Blanzy goes up and gets it, kicks a high, long kick that will be fielded. Well, it'd be actually allowed to hit and roll down to about the 11-yard line. Van Vliet saw it and then stepped away from it, and the Britons will down it at the 10-yard line. So Hope will have the football, their first opportunity of the afternoon, and they'll have the football at their own 10-yard line.
Political corruption, poisoned water, and the cost of speaking out are central to the modern adaptation of Henrik Ibsen's 1882 Public Enemy, running November 9 to 12 and 16 to 19 in Albion College's Herrick Theater. It's located in the Dow Recreation Complex. Performances on November 9 through 11 and 16 through 18 at 8 o'clock, with matinees at 2 p.m. on Sunday the 12th and Sunday the 19th.
So Apple will bring them all out, and he brings all his offense down in right at the 10-yard line as he nose the football right on the 10. They'll go into that offset I as he has Campbell in that I back formation. They'll fake it to him. Now he'll roll to his right, looking to throw. Back around the goal line, gets hit, and throws it out of bounds. Good job by Rodriguez to put pressure on Apple right at the goal line. One more step, and he had him down at the 1. Instead, Apple able to wisely throw it over everybody's heads on the Britain sideline for the incomplete.
And the way they were able to get that push right up the middle. Sometimes when you see that defensive front get a push up the middle like that, it means they might be setting up a screen. However, he almost got to the quarterback there, so if that was a screen, forced him to roll to his right and get rid of it to avoid a big loss.
Britain's playing that 4-man front right now. We'll set everything up for you here in just a minute. 2nd down and 10, and they'll throw a flanker screen, and the Britons all over it. It'll lose a couple of yards. Nice completion, but a good job by the Brits, Rayshon Robinson, to knock the intended receiver down for a loss of about 2. And I'm still looking for that number here as he was on the other side of the football field, and he needs to turn just a little bit. That's Curtis Slink. So Slink was the young man that made the catch. That sets up a loss of 2, and it's 3rd down now and 12. First possession right now for Hope as we're early on here in the first quarter.
A little confusion by the Dutch there as they're still getting lined up. Still 10 to go on the play clock here, but that last pass, Jim, 2 defenders, 1 wide receiver blocking. So
doubles top and bottom, single receiver in the backfield. Pressure coming. The ball's knocked up in the air. Was it intercepted? I don't think so. Nice job by the Brits to put some heat on inside. I believe that was 98 Austin Lynn that was rushing the quarterback. He got there just in time. Trey Edwards was the young fella trying to pull it in, but the ball just about a yard too short of Edwards to be able to pull it. He got it on the hop, but instead it'll set up 4th down now and 13 from just inside the 10 at about the 7, and the punter comes on. He'll have to kick from out of his end zone.
About 5-6 yards deep in the end zone. 12.5 to play. Quarter number 1 still scoreless. Both teams have now had a possession, and the Brits getting ready to receive the punt to start possession number 2.
Good snap. Kick comes about midway out of the end zone. Carter waiting to field it back around the 45, waits and allows it to bounce, then goes forward about 5 yards to the 40 before he runs into a whole bunch of flying Dutch and is knocked down there. They'll mark his forward progress right at the Dutch 40. So great field position there for the Britons and a good job by the defense.
Tough decision right there to make also by Carter on that return, Jim, is when that ball's hopping and the wind's influencing it, do you run up and make a play and risk getting popped for a fumble? I don't think it would have taken too much more of a hop, but you got to credit him. He did a good job holding on and getting decent momentum just outside the 40 for their second possession.
Zarnecki will be to the left of his quarterback Thomas in the pistol. They have triples to the top and a single running back here, a single wide receiver on the Hope side, which is the short side this time. As they operate out of the pistol for the second time, they'll hand the ball to Pat. Pat tries the right side. Now he's going to cut it back towards the center of the football field. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage, wiggle out of one tackle, and work his way forward for about 2, as he will be marked down at about the 38-yard line.
Give him about actually 3 on that one, and he made a lot happen.
Out of nothing.
Trying to run to his right and had to cut it back left, and then had to do quite a bit of dancing, but he got a nice gain.
Britain's put triples down to the tops. Again, Zarnecki to the left of Thomas. He fakes it to him, throws it up to Poor on the visitor sideline, works from behind a block at the 40-35 and steps inside the 34. Maybe the 33 is where he steps out of bounds, so it'll be 3rd down and short now for the Britons, who need to get down to about the 31-yard line. And again, they're going into this fast-paced offense here early, not going to take the foot off the gas pedal. Kitka is the tight end. He's on this side. They've got doubles here with him, and he lines up now in that H-back spot, a yard back from the line of scrimmage. Zarnecki again, the running back to the right. Thomas will fake the Zarnecki, looking to throw. Now he's going to call his own number. He'll run around the right end. He's got the first down at the 25, steps out of bounds at the 19-yard line. In fact, they'll give him the 18-yard line, so it'll be 1st down and 10 Britons.
And, Jim, if I were to guess on that one, I think showing pass right there was just showing pass. I think that was a designed run. Brought that extra tight end in to block just to Thomas's right. And I think he was looking left, but the whole time, I think the reason you bring that tight end in just to his right is to push down, get his hat on a linebacker, and give him a clear path.
Blanzy and Koski wide to the top of the football field on the visitor's side. Again, Zarnecki in the backfield. Thomas fakes to him and throws it to Canfield down along the flat around the 12-yard line, but it's knocked out of Canfield's hand by Rosado, and it will go incomplete, 2nd down and 10.
Talk about step-for-step coverage. Mason Rosado right there, the senior, only 5'8", but eyed the ball and got himself in a position where he can get a hand on it right there. Excellent job of defense to knock that one down.
Canfield has about 4 inches on Rosado, so you got to expect he's going to get some time with him here this afternoon. Throw down towards the end zone will end up a little bit short. Headed for Brian Blanzy down around the goal line on a little out route, but the ball was a good 3 to 4 yards short, and you're wondering if it's the wetness of the ball right now or the wind, Jim. That's about the 3rd time that Thomas has come up short with those throws.
Yep, and that's definitely going to impact the decisions to make big downfield throws. Is Thomas going to continue to look for the deep ball, or is he going to have to just tuck and run at some point?
3rd down now and 10. The Britons have the football for their 2nd time this afternoon. Fake to Zarnecki, throw up to the top to Koski. He has the football. Now he's going to cut back to head towards the middle of the football field. He went from the left sideline down around the 18-yard line back towards the center of the football field to the hash mark, and he got knocked down again right around that 18-yard line, so really no gain for Koski, but a run of about 20 yards.
You're absolutely right. Tried to make something out of nothing right there, but just too many defenders and not enough spaces as the Britons will line up for a field goal attempt.
4th down and 10. This one will come from the 18-yard line, so make it 28 yards in length. Add another 7 that way. It's about 35 yards. And the snap was high, but the placement was good, and the kick was even better as it just gets in the upright, and the Brits go ahead 3-0 here. So could be an afternoon of field goals, Jimmy, and if that's the case, we've got one in the books right now.
And that's, decent starting field position. You would love to have that interception to see what you could have done with a much shorter field, but you definitely feel encouraged on defense. 2 of the 3 plays, he got really good push up the middle and pressured the quarterback, nearly dropped him for a big loss, then had a deflection where it was almost picked, and that second possession got them really good starting field position. They were able to get some points on the board. You definitely have to keep an eye on the ball condition and the wind because, like you said before, Kyle Thomas's passes that are about 10, 15 yards past the line of scrimmage, not really getting where they need to go. So, as a defense, I think if you're looking at the deep pass, you send somebody maybe 5, 6 yards in front of the receiver, thinking that ball might not make its destination. You might have an easy interception. So, they're going to keep mixing up the offense, but you like having a 3-point lead early.
No doubt about that. Sending back, Alex Van Vliet will be here on the home side, waiting for the kick as the Brits scored with their second opportunity here of the afternoon. And this will come up a little bit short and be fielded at the 15. Across the 20 to the 25, and now up the sideline and out of bounds in front of the Britons sideline goes number 37. And I'm going to have to dig a number out on that one because that was not one they gave me on the two deeps here today.
Is Nicholas Mastak, a freshman, defensive back from Matawan, Michigan. So Catholic High School.
They give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who are going to return kicks here this afternoon, and then they run a young guy by the name of Mastak out here on you, 37.
He was the 8th. He was the 8th one.
Welcome to D3 football on a Saturday afternoon in week number 9, right?
You have, I think, 15 different starting fronts for Hope down here.
Oppo in the pistol look, and he turns and he hands to his big old running back, Brandon Campbell. Campbell brings it right up the center of the football field for a very short pickup of about 2, as the Brits in the center of that football field do a nice job. Sean Kubit Miller and Austin Lynn on the tackle up front.
Kind of a sloppy quarterback-running back exchange right there. I think ball condition definitely has something to do with that. You've had that field turf soaking up that water, and the officials do the best they can to protect those balls. But once you put that down on the ground, it's going to soak it up.
Offset eye again. They fake the ball to Campbell. Now Apple's going to roll towards the visitor sideline, looking to throw down the field deep. And this one's coming and is dropped at the 30-yard line. A little contact back there. Some wrestling for the football back in at the 30-yard line, but no hanky comes out of anybody's pocket. And I think between Jordan Carden and Cooper Kachini, the two of them were just basically fighting for the football, and the official decided that was probably a good no call.
Well, both players, he got his head turned around for the ball, didn't make egregious contact, and he was making a play on the ball, not the player. So there was a lot of contact, but both players have to have the opportunity to go for the ball.
Hope has 2 receivers here on the home side, a single receiver to the top, and again, Campbell, the only running back in the backfield. This is a designed run for the quarterback, and he's coming straight up the middle of the football field. He will have a first down on a nifty little run as he waited for one block and then stopped and waited for another block. He crosses the 40 to about the 43-yard line. And Apple has the first down of the afternoon for the Flying Dutch.
And I think that's one where the Brits linebackers right there really missed an opportunity to catch him after about a 2-3 yard gain. You let him make a few side steps, had a decent stiff arm, runs with a lot of power, but I think he got to make that tackle 2-3 yards after the line of scrimmage there, Jim.
They'll bring a guy in motion, fake that jet sweep, hand the ball to Campbell, who'll go off of left guard for a couple as he crosses the 45 to about the 46-yard line. They marked him down at the 44 to start that first down possession. So the pickup of 2 gives the ball to the Flying Dutch at their 46-yard line. 8:23 to go here in the first quarter, and the Brits up 3-0 if you just turned in on a 35-yard field goal by Fabry here on their last possession. Doubles go to the top, single to the bottom. Campbell to the left in the pistol look, and they will fake the ball to Campbell. The quarterback will keep it, and he'll come off left guard for a short pickup. Nice job there by Dallas Reynolds to get down low. Give him a yard, maybe 2, as he's out to the 48-yard line. And it'll be 3rd down now and 6 for Hope.
Something to keep an eye on with Oppel, the way he's carrying that ball. He carries it very high.
Yep.
And I think if you're looking for the rip and strip with the guy, even though he's tucking it in, he's carrying that really high. I think you get the right combo of arm grab and maybe somebody punching at that ball. I think he could be turning it over today.
He's got 9 touchdowns rushing this season, but he's turned the ball over 3 times by fumble. And maybe number 4 or 5 would be helpful today. Oppel drops back deep. Now he throws this one, a high floater to the sideline. Got his guy complete. Missed tackle
Jim.
Over at the 48-yard line. They'll scoot up the sideline for a first down. That's Campbell. Man, I'll tell you what, he just barely floated that ball over to Campbell, who was standing there waiting to be tackled. And we missed a tackle up there. Jordan Carter had him dead to rights. Somehow Campbell stepped out of that tackle, then got across the 50 and stepped out of bounds right in front of our bench at the 44-yard line of the Brits.
2 third-down conversions where the Brits had them easily for short gains and could have got out of the possession. This is the kind of drive where you pick up a couple of those third downs and you end up putting points on the board.
Empty look for Campbell now. He's got 2 wingbacks. He'll keep this football, and he's going to run off left tackle. He's got some yardage inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Give him about 5 on first down. It'll be 2nd down now and 5. Apple, again, as we said, a big fella at 6'2" and about 235 is not afraid to take that ball and make something happen with it.
No, you see a lot of quarterbacks, they run to get out of the pocket. Once they find the defenders coming, they'll slide. And Oppel instead puts his head down, and he's looking for contact. He's not afraid of it. So he looks every bit of 6'2" out there too, Jim. He looks like a pretty big young man.
Mastak to the left, Campbell to the right. They'll fake the ball to Campbell, and Oppel goes straight up the middle. Brits went after the running back after the fake, and Campbell gets the first down as he's down to the 30-yard line. And again, nice job of faking to Campbell. 2 Brits in the backfield. They went that way. Oppel, when the zone read, basically pulled that ball right back in and went up the field for the first down. So the ball sits right now on the Britons' 30-yard line. First down and 10, 6 minutes to play. Quarter number 1, Brits up 3-0.
You have that luxury with a mobile quarterback, as he can pull back at the last second and keep. And that was a well-designed play right there.
They'll hand the ball to Campbell this time. He'll go off right tackle, lower his shoulder pad, and he's inside the 25 to the 24-yard line. So Campbell this time, no deception, just lowered that pad and ran for the extra yards.
And that looks like his running style, Jim. We've seen it a couple times now where when he gets his lane, he's not going to dance as much. I think he's going to be one of those bruiser-style running backs that's going to, he finds his spot, he's going to put his head down, and he's going to impose his will on the defender.
Kachini goes wide to the top, Slink in the slot here on the home side with another wide receiver here on the home side, and I think the Brits just jumped off sides. They did.
Gave him a first down right there, too.
Hunter Shaw is the guy that kind of came a little early.
4 to gain for the first down, so if this is an offsides, this would be a first down for the Flying Dutchman.
Offsides on the Brits. They'll take that ball inside the 20 now, and the Brits now with their back to the goal line here as they're in the red zone for the first time of the afternoon. Up 3-0 with 5:16 to play here in the first quarter.
Here's what we talked about, Jim. Red zone opportunity. The Britons defense going to need to hold the Flying Dutch to a field goal opportunity here. I don't know that you're going to want to try to get in a touchdown for touchdown track meet. This is not a track meet kind of day.
Pistol look, hand to Campbell. He'll come around the left end. He's got room. 15, stiff arm, 5, knocked out of bounds right around the goal line. That was Rodriguez that came up to plow him under at about the 1.
Boy, that was close, Jim. Great blocking downfield. There was nothing but field turf to his left right there on that cutback.
So it'll be first down and goal now for the Hope Flying Dutch.
Inside
4:47 to play here in this opening quarter. And Hope looking to take the lead back as they're down 3-0.
And Campbell's running style is one where, he's going to get you that yard. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a handoff here.
Campbell in the eye. They hand him the football. He gets close to the goal line, but the Brits able to upend him right at the line of scrimmage.
But you have 4 plays to get a yard. So even if you don't get it on the first one, I'd have to think that you're going to get a steady dose of Campbell. Probably at least one more time, maybe Oppel once if the Brits can hold here on second and goal.
No gain on that one. Second down and goal from the 1. Oppel again in that pistol look, and he has Campbell right behind him now. Wing on the right, wing on the left, hand to Campbell. Campbell will walk into the end zone this time. A big hole between center and guard on the right side, and an easy walk-in for the first touchdown of the afternoon and the first score of the afternoon. And all of a sudden, one of the medical vans down there on the sideline just lit up, so they must do that. Must be a tradition around here at Smith Field, I guess, huh?
When we used to do the games in Ohio, they shot off a cannon sometimes at the end of touchdown, so I'd much rather see an emergency vehicle flash its lights than have to plug my ears and duck under the table for a cannon fire.
Forward on to try the extra point, and this one was blocked. Brits with a nice job. That was Rayshawn Robinson that got in early, and he got the football coming off that right end, and just like that, it's 6-3 now, Hope.
And he had his hands at about chest level to block. He didn't even reach up. He just reached out to block. I mean, that's how much of a jump he had coming off the right edge. And, that's one where if he's going all out, we saw it before with the blocked extra point returned for points in the Olivet game. And so, that was a case where it almost happened again, but you'll certainly you'll take the 3-point difference instead of the 4. But you have to tighten up as a defense, and you can't give up the big runs that they did on that last possession.
Robinson and Poor go back deep now for the Britons. Poor on the visitor side, Robinson on the home side, both of them just inside that 10-yard line. As Ford who just had that extra point blocked. And you asked about it a little bit, Jim. You know, you talked a little bit about the number of extra points that have been missed by Ford this year, and now we see maybe why.
Bad snap on that one, too.
Bad snap, poor blocking on the top, and kick gets blocked. So 6-3 now is the score here. As we're at the 4-minute mark here, the opening quarter. It's starting to rain again here at Hope. Light drizzle. The field is wet. Umbrellas are up. Lights are on, and it's cold outside, man.
Ball's
Welcome to November.
November in northern Michigan. Be thankful it's not snow. Ball's fallen off the tee twice, so official now has the one of the Dutch down to hold. I believe that is, I would guess, probably Mike Miller. Number 11 is 211s, Crum and Miller. So I'd guess the younger player is probably playing special teams.
So the Britons here waiting on this kick. They took their second possession, went down and scored a field goal in a short field. Hope, with a couple of big third down conversions, were able to march down the football field and score the first touchdown of the afternoon. Robinson with the catch at the 15-yard line. He'll be out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. They might give him the 28. It'll be first down and 10 Britons. 3:59 to play opening quarter. Brits now down 6-3 here on the Britons Football Network.
A 30-yard difference in starting field position from the last drive for the Britons. It means they're going to need to sustain this drive. And, you know, the first drive they did a decent little mix of run and pass. Again, though, that downfield pass not working so far for Kyle Thomas. Going to have to hit one here to keep the defense honest.
Zarnecki in the pistol with Thomas. And we have a whistle and flags everywhere before things get started. And we have a motion call against the Britons. As we have a procedure call against the Britons. It'll cost them 5 yards. It'll move the football back from the 28 to the 23 and set up a first down now and 15. First penalty of the afternoon now goes against the Brits.
Well, they had the offsides, I think.
Oh, that's right. They did have that offsides.
That led to the first down of, again, you look back to that drive, though, Jim. It was 2 third-down conversions. You just kind of felt like it was the kind of drive that was going to produce points.
Triples go to the top, single to the bottom right now for the Brits. Zarnecki in the backfield. They fake it to him. A pass will be completed to Poor. I believe he hung on to it. No, he did not. As he went down with the football in that little slant pattern. Would have gotten about the 5 back that they lost on the penalty, but he was not able to pull that football in. Good coverage there by Weigel. And the incompleted pass will set up second down now and 15 for the Brits, and the rain now starting to fall at a heavier pace here at Smith Stadium.
Safety blitz.
Thomas going to run this time. 30-yard line, 33-yard line, so he'll get about half of what he needs for that first down. He looked downfield, saw nobody open, and at the very end he decided he had a nice little lane up the right sideline. Brought it out, picked up about half the yards he needs. Third down now and about 8 for the Britons here. 3:32 to play quarter number 1.
And give it that 5-yard penalty right there. Would have been close to a first down, and they not had the procedure penalty.
Triples top, single to the bottom. Thomas drops. He has time, throws it. Complete. Canfield, 40, 45, still on his feet, pushing towards midfield. He'll go down at about the 49. Nice job by Canfield to pull in that ball and take a couple of Flying Dutch with him close to that midfield stripe. They'll actually mark him down at the 49-yard line. So the first down is the Britons, and it'll be first down and 10.
Zansky, number 30, in coverage right there, trying to rip the ball. Just kind of got dusted off at the end there.
Again, the screen pass up to the top to Poor, and Poor will find his way up the field across the 50 and into Flying Dutch territory at the 48-yard line, where he steps out of bounds right in front of his familiar bench. A lot of Britons fans up there with umbrellas and rain gear today, so they're all weathering their way over here to Holland, Michigan to watch game number 9. Fake to Zarnecki, throw again to the flat. This time it's Blanzy, and Blanzy will have about 5 on that little catch. Again, that little turnaround goes up about 5, turns around. Just as he makes that turn, the ball's on the money. Blanzy makes the catch. It'll be third down and about 2 here.
You saw earlier in the previous drive the Flying Dutchman playing more press coverage. Now they've started to drop the safeties back. That opens up that window.
Again, doubles to the top, doubles to the bottom for the Britons. Zarnecki to the right of Thomas. High snap. hand the ball to Pat. Pat tries to go forward. He'll get about half of what he needs, but it's going to set up 4th down and short. And an interesting decision right now for the Britons as they have the football at the 42-yard line. And I believe they're sending the punt team in. Yes, they are.
I can't blame them. I think if you're outside the 40 on a day like today, you're trying to pin them inside the 10. You know, the Dutch defense, I don't know that they're entirely buying it. You see one returner, but you see 10 men up at the line of scrimmage right there, 2 almost in a safety position. Van
Vliet is all by himself, and he will get the football kicked his direction. He'll run away from it. Ball will hit at the 15, take a Britons bounce inside the 5, and be down at the 1. Nice
Beautiful.
Job by the by Blanzy to kick. Nice job by the Brits to be able to touch it down at the 1-yard line. And I think maybe a really good idea to pin them in here, Jimmy, and see what happens.
It's as good as it gets right there in coverage. And again, the player can go in the end zone. I don't think either did in that case. But the player can go in the end zone as long as the ball doesn't cross the plane of the goal line. So that's about as excellent an execution as you can get right there.
Looking for some live stats here today. But the Brits so far, the stats you need to know, 1 minute and 21 seconds left to go in the first quarter. The Brits down 6-3. Hope will have the football after driving on their last opportunity, the length of the football field for a touchdown. Now they'll open everything up, and they will start with their quarterback in the pistol midway in the end zone as the ball sits on the 1-yard line. And he'll keep the football and come off right guard and right tackle out to about the 4, almost the 5-yard line comes Mason Oppel. So Oppel will give them a little breathing room. And that was definitely a student body right, power right. Now they bring all the big guys off the field and bring their wide receivers back on. They had a couple of tight ends that time and an extra fullback.
Yep.
That was a run just to get a little bit of breathing room down around the goal line.
Under a minute to play, quarter number 1, as the sun looks like it might be peeking out.
Oppel at the goal line, takes the snap, hands to Campbell. Campbell will find the 10-yard line and fall down across the 11. That'll be a first down on the draw play. And the sticks will now move, as you said, Jimmy, under a minute to play here in quarter number 1. Sun's starting to come out, but it looks like the rain's picking up at the same time. So I don't know, maybe we'll get a rainbow.
I was just going to say.
They don't stop anything for rainbows around here, do they?
No. Only unicorns.
There you go. Doubles go to the top, doubles go to the bottom here for Hope, and they'll turn and hand the ball to Campbell. Campbell's coming around left end on the home sideline. He gets through the first wave and crosses the 20 before he's knocked down at about the 21-yard line. Good job by Riley Sauter to make that tackle. If Sauter doesn't make the shoestring stop there at the 21, we have probably a 90-yard touchdown run on our hands.
Well-designed run, good power. Power and speed combo as quarter 1 is going to come to an end, Jim.
Quarter number 1 is in the books. It's 6-3. Hope on top of the Britons here on the Britain Football Network as we'll flip sides. Get ready for quarter number 2 here this afternoon.
PBS host of The Open Mind, Alexander Hefner, is welcome to Albion College as he presents his lecture, Civil Discourse in an Uncivil Age, on Wednesday, November 15 at 7 o'clock at Bobbitt Auditorium. This event, sponsored by Albion's Law, Justice, and Society program, is free and open to the public. For more info, contact Albion College Institutional Advancement Secretary Brenda Brigham at bbrigham, that's BRIGHAM, at albion.edu, or call 517-629-0402.
Looking back for some first quarter stats right now. And we've updated, but updated not far enough to get where I want to go at this point in time. So we'll refresh here one more time and see what's going on. The stats, as they say, that matter right now. The Britons find themselves down 6-3 here at the end of the quarter. And the Britons defense will be on the football field as Hope talks things over on a kind of rainy Saturday afternoon here in Holland. Senior day, as they said. It'll be first down and 10 now with Hope going from left to right, if you're so interested. And they will start on their 22-yard line. Jim Funderburg along with Jim Bellamy here this afternoon. Don't forget, next week we will have our final football game of the season. It will be the final home game of the season as the Britons will be hosting Kalamazoo next week, 1 o'clock right here at the Britain Sports Network. We'll have full video for you on that final home game. So Oppel will start again. To his left is Mastic. And they will fake the ball to Mastic. Oppel calls his own number, and he wished he'd have given the football to number 37 as the Brits swarm him for a loss of a couple inside the 20, back at about the 18-yard line. Nice job by the Britons. Austin Lynn, one of the first guys in there, along with Sean Kubit-Miller. And the Britons really giving Oppel no place to go. Loss of about 2, second down now and 12.
I think in that case, Jim, why Oppel pulled that one down is he saw the defender coming up, hands flying towards him, figures if he's going to hand it off, it might get deflected and knocked out. The running back had the lane, but the exchange might not have been clean. It might have resulted in a fumble.
Oppel in the pistol again with a running back to his right and his left. He'll drop to throw. Here comes the heat. He's going to throw this ball to Campbell out in the left flat, but it's over Campbell's head. Rodriguez was coming up to lay the lumber on Campbell anyway. It goes over his head, incomplete. It'll be third down now and 12. Neither team doing real well throwing the ball right now, Jimmy, and running game has been pretty solid for both. But the passing game so far, if it's not a 5 or 6 yard throw, they really have not been on the numbers here this afternoon, either team early.
The Britons secondary has given up big plays in inclement weather, as we saw with Olivet, but today just seems like a little bit different situation.
Caccini is wide here on the home side. He's got a slot receiver in next to him. Single running back in the backfield, that's Campbell. Quarterback drops, throws late across the middle. It's completed, but will it be enough for the first down? I believe it's going to be. Slink is the guy that pulled it in. He's the senior. And he'll have just enough as he crosses the 32 to the 33-yard line. Decent cover by the Brits, but a good job, really a very good job by Oppel, who was thinking about running that football and the last second was able to make the completion. I don't think Oppel had enough for the first down if he actually ran that ball, but they had just enough with the hook up there for the first.
Well, the pocket was collapsing. He stayed strong in the pocket and just shifting those feet just a little bit. Sometimes that's more important than being able to scramble.
Doubles to the top, single to the bottom. Oppel will come this time around left end. He'll have nice room across the 40 to the 45 to the 47-yard line before the Brits are able to knock him down, and that will be another first down, give him 13 on the carry. And again, the most dangerous player on the football field in the black and orange so far this afternoon has been their quarterback.
And you recall, Jim, this drive started
at the 1.
A fraction from the goal line,
yeah.
too. And, I mean, just run. And they're up near midfield all of a sudden.
Campbell again, the only running back behind his quarterback in the pistol, and they'll turn and hand to Campbell straight up the middle of the football field. He'll be across the 50 into Brits territory at about the 48-yard line. Austin Lynn was the young guy that dragged him down, but not before he's able to pick up 5 on first down. It'll be second down now and 5 for the Flying Dutch.
And you see the pro offense with the like Le'Veon Bell and guys like that. They won't hit the hole hard. They'll kind of dance. While the Dutch hit the hole hard and they run downhill.
Handed the ball to Campbell. Waits for the hole to open up, and it does. And now he's inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line. Got to the line of scrimmage. There was nothing there. Just stutter step for a half a second. Then it opened up on the right side, and he was able to get the first down. Down to the 39-yard line, first down at 10, 12:30 to play here, quarter number 2.
Players shaken up, coming off the field, number 31, Shadaya. Logan Shadaya, kind of favoring that right arm.
Caccini goes by himself to the top of the football field, the visitor sideline. 2 running backs now, 1 to the left of the quarterback in the pistol look and 2 in the flanker spot, and they'll send a guy in motion. Fake the ball. No, they give the ball to Christian Boss, and Boss on that flanker sweep goes around left end for about 4 as he crosses the 35 to about the 34, so give him 5. Second down and 5 now, 11:50 to play in quarter number 2.
It's been all runs.
Run. That's all we're doing this afternoon. Doubles here on the home side. Single to the top. Again, pistol look. Campbell behind his quarterback. They get set, and then they all come back off the line of scrimmage and look to the sideline. Plenty of time on the play clock. Game clock at 11.5 minutes here, quarter number 2. Turn around, hand to Campbell, who comes straight up the middle. In fact, that's 37 this time. Mastic Comes across the 30 to about the 26-yard line. So it'll be a first down now and 10 for Hope.
And Jim Mastic listed as a DB, so I'm almost wondering if that isn't Chris Lee.
There you go, Chris Lee, 37. And around the corner goes Lee inside the 20 to about the 19-yard line. So Chris Lee.
Chris Lee, yep. And again, bear with us, folks. We get the roster off the. I get the roster off the website. There's only 137 shown, and that's Nicholas Mastic, but he's a defensive back.
Lee on my roster and my two deeps is 8. Okay, so again, he has changed to 37 here this afternoon for whatever reason, and we'll go with that.
At least we're able to make an educated guess.
Timeout on the field right now. Second down and 4. And who called that one, Jimmy?
The Brits called that timeout. That's their first. And again, with just under 11 to play in the first half, 6-3 is your score as the Brits open up with a 35-yard field goal, and then the Dutch answer with a nice drive capped off by a 1-yard touchdown run. And this drive started at near the end of quarter number 1, just inches off the goal line after a great punt covered by the Brits, downed inside the 1, but they've advanced it all the way to the red zone for a 2nd and short. And the run defense is definitely being tested here, Jim.
Campbell lines up right behind his quarterback Lee off in the H-back spot to the left. And they'll turn and hand the ball to Campbell, and he will follow the block around the right end. He'll step inside the 15, get knocked down at the 14. That'll be a first down now inside the red zone now.
Very old school offense, Jim. If you're a fan of old school football, you'll like what the Hope Flying Dutch are doing so far with their possessions. They are not trying to trick you in any way. They're showing run up the gut, and then they're running right downhill right over you.
Chris Kelly, 39, is that H-back. He's been the guy that's really been knocking people off the line of scrimmage and opening up the hole around that end. And he's lined up on the right side of that H-back spot. Now they'll head the opposite direction, and he'll open up a hole for Campbell, who gets around the left end but finds a lot of Brits there who string everything out and knock him out of bounds for just a short gain. Looked like Campbell had some room. Brits with some good pursuit on the top side, able to get up and knock everything out, string everything out, and eventually knock him out of bounds.
Looking for that cutback towards the middle, and like you said, string him out, and the blocking never opened up. So he just did the best he could to get a little bit of momentum, ended up with about a 1-yard gain on the play. But good job by the Britain's defense to force him right and out of bounds.
Schaefer, Wickens, and Harvey, the 3 guys that were there just keeping things in front of them. Second down now and 9:40 to play here in quarter number 2. And Hope doesn't like what they're looking at, so all of a sudden Oppel decides he'll call a timeout, and they'll walk to the sideline to chat things over.
Tim, want to let folks know for a recap from all of today's contests, you can go to GoBrits.com online. You can also follow the Britons on Twitter at twitter.com/GoBrits. And certainly appreciate you tuning in this audio stream here in Holland, Michigan. Sun is still out there somewhere. I see the light, but I don't see the actual sun. Rain looks like it subsided a bit. Wind's picking up a little bit, but it hasn't really impacted the offense especially for the Flying Dutch, because they have been a run first and run off an offense. The last pass attempt they had, I believe, sailed wickedly wide of the receiver to the right. Although, I mean, they did complete a couple of really tough passes on the previous drive that netted him a touchdown. But Oppel's faced quite a bit of pressure when he's dropped back to pass. However, again, a solid running game could open up the passing game. So while you're not seeing a whole lot of passes so far by the Flying Dutch, the more successful the ground game is, the more likely it is you're going to see them at least attempt one to keep the defense back.
Checking on the MIAA site right now, Trine and Alma tied at 6 here. They're about 3 minutes into quarter number 2. No score from Adrian and Olivet at this moment. And here in the 9:41 mark, Hope on top 6-3 with the football down on the Brits' 13-yard line. Oppel going to throw this one in the corner. He's got his guy. It's complete. I believe that's Lee. Lee able to get a foot down just inside that end zone. Ball thrown over Rodriguez's head, not able to find it, and it will be the second touchdown now of the afternoon, and the first passing touchdown of the afternoon for either one of these teams.
So again, like we said, Jim, the run opening up the pass right there, and that was a case where they threw a little play action. Apple goes to his left. The defender never turned around for the ball, was able to drop it just over his shoulder. Good concentration by Lee for the touchdown catch in the left corner of the end zone. Gives them a 12-3 lead. The Dutch, as they look for the extra point this time, was blocked last time.
Again, a bad snap, but this time a nice placement, and Ford drills it through. And just like that, it's 13-3. Dutch on top of the Britons here with 9:34 to play here in quarter number 2, and the Brits about ready to get the football back. Again, remember, Hope won the toss here today. They opted to defer to the second half, so they will get the kick to open up the third quarter. So the Britons offense going to need to find a way to get some things happening here before this halftime comes to a close.
They're going to need to start not only establishing the ground game with Zarnecki, Jim, but they're going to have to hit some passes. I know that they've gone 4 or 5 yards downfield to get those quick button routes and things like that, those curls. But eventually you're going to have to keep that defense back a little bit, and the pass is going to open up the run. So Thomas is going to have to show he can put the ball on a good spot in this weather today. Something about either the ball and or the wind is not allowing him to do that so far, so he's going to have to overcome that.
Looking for some stats here on the ball game this afternoon, but unfortunately live stats just not updating here today. And I can tell you that the Britons basically got on the scoreboard first with a 35-yard field goal as this kick goes to Robinson at the 10-yard line, coming straight up the middle of the football field. Gets a block at the 30, out to about the 31, and Ray Sean will be at the 31-yard line. So they took a 3-point lead there with their first score of the afternoon, but then it's been 2 touchdowns for the Hope Flying Dutch there. A 1-yard run by Campbell and a 13-yard completion from Apple to Lee. The extra point blocked on the first attempt. That makes it 13-3. Brits with the football now, and the offense needs to start finding their way here at Smithfield.
Second straight possession where they start at the 30-yard line, Jim.
Fake to Zarnecki, throw. Thomas hit when he throws, but he's got his man up in the right flats. That's Koski, and Koski will run up the Brits sideline and step out of bounds with enough for the first down at the 44-yard line. So a nice job by Thomas with pressure coming in his face that time, Jimmy, to get the ball out of the money.
And again, still though, Jim, not very crisp, but as long as that one was completed and move forward for a first down, you'll take it.
Triples bunched up on the top of the football field, the short side of the field. They'll hand the ball to the running back, and Zarnecki will be ahead for a couple as he'll cross the 45 to about the 47-yard line. Give Pat about 3 on that carry. It'll be second down now and 7.
Running style similar to what you've seen from the Dutch, Jim, as Zarnecki hit the hole to his right just a little bit and then just darted north-south. I think in a day like today, that's kind of what you have to do.
Freeman checks in, Zarnecki checks out. Again, 3 bunched to the top, single receiver here on the home side. They fake the ball to Freeman, throw the ball up to Poor on that in that bunch. No blocking really up there as Poor only gets about a yard.
No blocking and no gain.
Yeah.
Amazing how those two are correlative.
You throw that little screen pass up on top, you bring basically a tackle out to help you do some blocking, and the 2 receivers that are with you in that bunch and the tackle not able to move anybody with the black jersey. Third down now and 6. Thomas drops. Here comes the heat. He'll have to roll and run up the sideline.
First down, Jim.
First down, across the 50 and into Hope territory, inside the 45 at the 44. And again, Thomas with no place to go downfield to throw that football, found the backside of that exit area open, able to run out towards the visitor sideline and a wide open field for an easy first down.
Surprised the Dutch haven't put a quarterback spy out there on Thomas, Jim.
Triples again to the top for the Britons. Freeman again, the running back in the backfield. They'll throw to the other side to Canfield. Canfield has the ball inside the 40 at the 39, and he'll work his way to the 38, first down.
Scooped that one almost off the turf right there. Long throw right there for a pretty decent game, but again, Thomas having to kind of throw across his body over to his left right there. Ball ends up traveling about 20-25 yards for a 7-yard, 6-yard gain.
Second down now and about 4 for the Britons. And a whistle before everything gets started, and we have a procedure call again on the Brits.
So that nice 6-yard gain is almost for naught as it brings up a 2nd and 9 now at the 7:18 mark to play in the first half.
And the penalty goes against Marlon Martin, who was lined up on the top side and moving. When they send Poor in motion, nobody else can move, and Martin then must have flinched or something on the top side. Triples now on that top side. Again, Freeman, the only running back in the backfield, and they'll hand the ball this time to Freeman. Left side, across the 40 to about the 39, 38-yard line, so he got most of that penalty back, but it'll set up a 3rd down now and about 4 for the Britons.
Problem is it was a 2nd and 4 a moment ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So while you like a 5-yard gain, you don't like the fact that you had to lose it down and a 5-yard penalty to get it.
Blanzy in the slot on the top side, along with 2 other receivers. Martin, the wide receiver on that side. They'll fake the ball. Now Thomas keeps it. He'll have the 1st down right up the center of the football field inside the 30 at the 29-yard line. Thomas looked down the field real quick, and I'm not sure if that wasn't a designated run as well, Jimmy, but he took off in a hurry.
I think he was looking at what the linebackers were giving him, and the linebackers, I think, turned around in pass coverage, and as soon as he saw the linebacker turn around, he just darted right where the linebacker was and pretty much followed him. Kind
of stretching that right leg out just a little bit as he came off that pile a little funny. He's going to try to run again. Now he's going to run out of time and room. Took a step off that right side and then ran out of real estate, took a step back, and the next thing you know, Zach Telfor, the defensive player of the week in the MIAA, was there to wrap him up and drop him, so no place to go for Thomas. He'll lose about 7, 2nd down and 17 now. 5:59 to play here in this first half.
This is where the drive can get derailed right here, Jim.
Triples this side. Freeman, the only running back to the left of Thomas in the backfield. Fake it there, throw it up to the top side. It's completed inside the 30 to the 29 to Koski. So they'll get the sack back, and it'll be 3rd down now and about 10 for the Britons. Make it a long 9 as they are just inside the 30, and they need to go right down to the 20-yard line.
Psychologically, I don't know that calling in a long 9 is going to
help
the Britons on offense. Yeah. Well, it's only a long 9, so it's not nearly as bad.
Freeman again to the right of the quarterback, Thomas, who's in the pistol. Drops back. This time he has some time. Steps up to the middle of the football field. Now throws deep to the center of the football field, and it was knocked away. The ball was heading down there towards Colby Canfield, but it was underthrown a little bit, and a couple of the flying Dutch were down there to knock that one away, and I think they're going to try a field goal, and this one's going to be about a 46-yarder.
Nice touch on that pass. I mean, that one, he didn't have any trouble getting down. So, hopefully it was just the direction in which they were headed in the first quarter that was making it difficult.
46-yard try here is the ball on the right hash mark.
Blocked.
And it is blocked in the center of that pile and fallen on right at the 30-yard line. So the ball will go back to the Dutch as it never really got past the line of scrimmage. Couldn't tell who got a hand on it. But the ball went towards the center of the football field and then just disappeared in the mass of the center of that line. So
it's either 23 Nick Holt or perhaps 96 Tate Knapp. Tate Knapp, kind of hard to miss in the middle, 6'4". So if he was the one who blocking, obviously as a longer kick, you have to kick it with a lower trajectory. So you put a couple of taller guys out in the middle to block that lower kick. Kind of no fair when you're 6'4" and you reach up, but I don't think he was even the one that got it.
5:01 to play here in the first half. Quarterback will keep this one as he fakes the handoff to Campbell, and Oppel runs right up the middle of the football field for about 3.
That's the second time now where Oppel has decided to pull that one and run up the middle where he hasn't gotten a gain, where the person he could have handed it to looked like they had a lot of real estate on the sweep.
Pick up about 3, 2nd down and 7. 4.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Brits find themselves down 13-3 here at Hope. Oppel turns, hands to Campbell. Campbell straight up the middle of the football field. He'll get a couple across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Give him 4. And it'll be 3rd down and about 4 here for the Flying Dutch. Big stop here for the Britons defense. If they can get off the field right now and give their offense at least one more shot before the half, that would be a big plus, I would think, for Coach and his team right now.
I do like the way, Jim, the Flying Dutch running backs, when they hit that hole, they don't mess around.
Apple on the option decides to go straight up the middle. He'll have the first down across the 45 up to the midfield stripe before the Britons pull him down. Looked like he was going to run that little option, but he got out, and first read on that option was, gosh, things are wide open in front of me. I don't even need to look for the pitch. First down and 10 at the midfield stripe. 3:41 to play here in the first half. Handoff goes to Campbell. Working out of the backfield, breaks a tackle. Now he's up the left sideline, 40, 35, 30, out of bounds at about the 33, but there's a flag on the field at the 30.
This one's coming back. There's no question this is a hold.
And unfortunately, for if you're a Hope fan, that hold came after a run of about 15 yards where you really weren't going to get too much more as the Brits had him pretty much trapped to the sideline. The hold happened at the 30, and the Brits knocked the running back Campbell out at the 28-yard line.
So if it's a 10-yard penalty from the spot, it's probably going to be a first down, but the ball will be marked at about the 40.
So 3:29 to play in the opening half. Football comes back to the Britons' 40-yard line. First down and 10, as you said, Jimmy.
That's because, interestingly enough, that was the marker to gain for the first down anyway. So shows you how potent that run was. But now we're under 3.5 to play. Still out of field goal range, but with a 2-score lead looking to increase are the Dutch.
Campbell in the backfield. He looked like he started about a step too early, but no flag. Comes around the right end. We got another flag, and again a holding call, I believe. This time is going to go against
and this will mark
31,
them back to,
I believe.
This will mark them back to midfield as the flag placed delicately at the 40-yard line by the referee.
Logan Shadela, I believe 31 is the young guy that got called on that one.
So Logan Shadea, the junior out of Oakland, Michigan, guilty of the hold right there, makes it a 1st and 20. And now they're back at the original line of scrimmage from a few plays ago. So
midfield stripe here.
There you go.
First down and 20. Boss will go wide out to the top. Cicchini will be wide to the home side here. They'll turn and hand the ball, and this is Lee. He'll try around the right end, looking for some room. Gets about 5 across the 50, down to the 45. Gets knocked down at about the 42-yard line, so give him about 7 when everything was over and done with. Very patient runners, these young guys from Hope, man. They wait for those blocks to set up. They start off, and then they look and look and look, and they wait for things to set and then cut appropriately. 2:42 to play here in the opening half. Brits down by 10, 13-3.
Showing a nice diversity in the run zone too, Jim.
They'll bring a flanker in motion. They'll hand the football to Boss. He'll come around the visitor's sideline for a couple inside the 40 to about 37. So Boss came from the left side coming towards the home side, and he got about 6. It'll be third down and about 7 now for Hope with 2:19 to play here in this first half. Turn, hand to Campbell right up the middle. In fact, that's Lee, and Lee will be close to the first down at the 31, but I think it'll be about a yard shy, and it'll be fourth down now and 1.
And the offense is essentially demanding the go forward here.
Well, I've got to believe the way that they have been running the football, it'd be crazy not to at least give it a try.
It'd be a 48-yard field goal, so you have nothing to lose here.
Turn goes back to Lee, and Lee will find a hole off the right side for plenty as he's inside the 30 to the 27, and that'll set him up with first down now with 1:50 to play here in this first half.
And not only are they getting big chunks of yardage, now they're running a hurry-up offense.
Throw the ball to Slink in the slot, and he gets a couple of blocks, and it'll be up the sideline to the 20 and steps out of bounds at the 18-yard line. So it will be another first down, I believe, or very close if not.
Yep, I think he's just past the yard to gain right there, and nearly a late hit. Also, Jim, on the defender there for the Brits.
Triples now here on the home side, and they'll work the other way. Pitch to Lee, sweep around the left end, but he's not got for too much as Harvey is there to wrap him up pretty much at the line of scrimmage and drop him for maybe a loss of 1. And with that, Hope will call their second timeout here of the first half.
Good job by Dallas Reynolds, 92, getting pressure on the quarterback right there. So that pitch was contested, and if he decided to call his own number that time, he's going to be met with force for a loss. We're at the 90-second mark to play in the first half. And once we get some halftime stats, we will step aside for a little break. And then we'll come back and get you ready for the second half. But still have 90 seconds to play in what has been a pretty fast-moving first half, Jim.
Sounds like we have a situation going on right now where Hope has won the ladies soccer championship in the MIAA against Olivet. I did not catch the score, but they won this afternoon. The game played right here at noon today.
Just to our left.
And a nice little situation, and congratulations, I guess, to Hope this afternoon for the ladies wrapping up a shot now to go to the NCAA and play soccer in a postseason situation here today.
Well, hopefully whoever their draw is, it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, no doubt.
If they just had straight east or straight west from here, I'm afraid they're going to run into more of the same in terms of weather. Second and long here. Hopple called his own number.
Inside the 10, down to the 5, reaching for the pylon. He's going to be awful close if he didn't get there.
He's in.
Yep.
Touchdown by Hopple. Called his own number, rolled left for 19 yards, takes it to the house, and that extends the lead to 19-3 with the extra point coming at the 122 mark. Excellent downfield blocking by the offensive line and the wide receivers for the Flying Dutchman, Jim.
Well, Hope was, basically one of those teams that everybody considered to be the contenders here in the conference this year. And showing today why they were thought so highly of early on in this football season, and trying to finish everything off here with on an upside, as they will not have a conference game next week. Ford kicks the extra point through, so it's 20-3 now with 1:22 to play in the opening half. Peter Sturzma is the Hope football coach, and heard him yesterday on the radio while I was here in Holland. Fellow who actually went to school here at Hope back in 1993, graduated. Year number 2, he was 7-3 last year, and has this Hope program just totally turned around. Was at East Grand Rapids for 16 years, took that team to 13 playoff appearances and 7 state titles. I'd say that's a pretty successful campaign for Coach Sturzma on the high school level.
Sustained success, too, because just like college, you only get them for a very short period of time. So you have to appreciate the system, the pipeline, and, obviously take your hat off to Coach Sturzma and the recruiting.
No doubt. Oh, yeah.
Because you're building a program means you're going to have to look outside the area, too. They're getting a lot of Michigan students up here, but they're getting them from all over the area.
Colin Poore is on the home sideline here at the 9-yard line. And Rayshawn Robinson towards the top of the football field. Brits going right to left right now if you just tuned in. 1:22 to play in the first half. The Brits find themselves down 20-3. Really need to answer this before the half. This kick's going to take Robinson deep into the end zone. He'll take a knee instead of trying to bring that one back out. As a nice kick by Ford. Drives him a good 7 yards deep in the end zone, and the Brits will have the football now first down and 10 as they'll bring the ball out to the 25-yard line. So the Brits offense has really not been very potent this afternoon, Jimmy. They need to go 75 yards and $1.22. Got a couple of timeouts to play with to maybe see if they can get that job done. But again, you remember the Brits will not have the football to open up quarter number 3. That ball goes back to Hope, who deferred in the half number 1.
And you have to hope here for the Britons and Kyle Thomas that the first pass play they run is going to be one of those slow developing screens. If they're going to take a shot, they need to take a shot.
Freeman, the running back towards the right, to the right of Thomas, and they'll hand the ball to Freeman this time. He'll get a couple off the left guard across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Clock will roll at 1:12 and counting.
I don't see a lot of hurry up from the Britons despite being down 17 points.
Freeman again will stay in the ball game. They'll go doubles to the top, doubles to the bottom.
Under a minute to play.
Thomas calls for the football. 2nd down and 8, drops back. Now he's going to run out of time and be dropped back at about the 17-yard line. He was looking downfield. Nobody open down there, and boy, I'll tell you what, the pocket just totally collapsed on him. I believe that was Tate Knapp that was the first guy back there, number 96. The loss will take the ball inside the 20 to the 19, and Hope will actually call a timeout with 45 seconds left to go, as they're hoping to get the ball back with some good field position right before the half if possible.
That's called playing to win.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
You have that timeout. You use it in a situation like that when you have the offense on its heels, and you have to think right now, if you're the Brits, I think you run a draw play, something. I don't even think you put the ball up at this point. I think you run, you try to drain as much clock as you can, and if you have to punt it back, you're not going to give them much time, if any. But I think it's a good timeout by the Flying Dutchman. So not having any crowd noise definitely makes it a
quieter game this afternoon, doesn't it, huh?
Trust us, there is a football game going on, even though it sounds like a golf broadcast.
Not a lot of folks around here this afternoon on this chilly afternoon with the rain falling still here at Holland, Michigan. And a Britons down 20-3 right before the half. And again, Jimmy, it'll be interesting to see exactly what the Brits will do. It's third down now at about 16.
I can't see any reason why they'd throw it here.
Really, with 45 seconds left, I agree with you. You're going to try to run this clock as far as you can. And now with no timeouts left here for Hope, I don't know what the idea is going to be right now, but the coach has him out in a spread look. He's got Zarnecki, the running back, to the left of Thomas. He'll throw this little screen pass up on top of the screen, the screen to Poor, and Poor will have to step out of bounds because he had no place to go up and around the 27-yard line. And again, he didn't want to, but there was really no place for him to go. But he really needed to make the choice of to go back towards the center of that football field, rather than head back up that sideline and step out of bounds, stopping the clock with 38 seconds.
Always a place to go.
Yeah.
Even if they're stringing you out to your left, you just dive straight forward before you go out of bounds and you force the clock to run. Now you set up 10 right near the line of scrimmage looking for a possible block, and they're
high snap. Blanzy gets it away under heat. Van Vliet basically just watches it bounce, and it will roll out of bounds in front of the Hope bench at the 35-yard line. So it'll be first down and 10 for Hope with 30 seconds left to go in the half and a 20-3 lead.
File that one kind of in the memory banks there, Jim. That's the second time that there's been a very high snap for the center long snapper punter exchange with Blanzy right there. As you fire that ball, harder and harder, higher and higher, eventually you might overshoot. So, it's already a 17-point deficit. Last thing you want is a special teams collapse to pile onto that.
Well, we'll see what happens. Hope comes out in their spread look. Doubles to the top, doubles to the bottom. And they will run this football right up the middle of the field.
Using the official
45-yard line, 47-yard line comes Oppel, and he will be knocked down right there at about the 48. Clock at 22 seconds now. And rolling in the first half.
As soon as they mark it, the clock will roll. They get the chain set. Clock's already rolling. You're under 20, now 16.
Oppel has Lee to the left of him. He's got doubles on both sides. He drops to pass. Now he'll come up the middle of the football field at the 50-yard line, into Brit territory at the 40, and steps out of bounds at the Brits' 39-yard line. It'll be first down and 10 with 7 seconds left to go in the first half.
I don't think you can run one more run here, though. Oppel's pulled and run, and he's made good decisions. You get the defense run downfield, cover, and try not to give up the big pass play. And so you take what the defense is giving you right away. So he's making quick and good decisions. But now he's at a point where yardage-wise and time-wise, can't do it again.
Oppel drops back. He'll roll towards the home sideline. Now he's going to fire one towards the end zone. A lot of guys down there, and the Brits are going to come down with it. Rayshawn Robinson will pull it in. Lost his helmet down there at the 10-yard line. And we've got a Hope player down at the 45-yard line, and a whole bunch of folks not real happy with some things that are going on right now. Yep, Joe Fullerton, I think, is the young fellow that blocked 75 from Hope, and he is down at the Hope 35-yard line. One of the big linemen, and there is a flag on the field, and if it's a defensive penalty.
Right, but it was after the interception.
Yeah, we'll see what happens
it was after
here.
The chains of possession, so I have to think that this is going to be an unfortunate. They might roll this one onto the second half kickoff. I have to think that was probably a blindside block right there.
Rayshawn Robinson with the interception down around the 10-yard line. His helmet came off right away.
And you wonder how that happened without a penalty.
And at that point in time,
how do you make a tackle by grabbing a guy's face mask and pulling his helmet off without it being a face mask? Yep, second half kickoff, because the change of possession had already occurred, so you can't call it, the half can't end a defensive penalty, but the change of possession had occurred, so the Britons were on offense at that point. Unfortunate penalty, not a good penalty, and I think you're going to see some chippy play in the second half as a result of it, but again, I go back to the interception when the guy's helmet gets pulled off.
Yeah, what happened there?
Not that the blindside block isn't a terrible penalty too, but those things don't fall off by accident.
So we've got 2 quarters in the books right now here at Hope, and the Britons find themselves down by 17, 20-3. And what we're going to do right now is try to find some halftime stats, and when we do, we will pass them along. But it's been an afternoon, Jim, of a whole lot of offense by Hope, and not much going on with the Britons here this afternoon. And again, like that, the live stats not really giving us much here as well, as we have no live stats for you here. We'll try to maybe get a paper stat here if we possibly can at the half. So with that, we're going to take a break here. It is halftime in Holland, Michigan, and the Brits find themselves down 17, 20-3 here in the Britain Sports Network.
I guess I just assumed that college classes would be pretty identical to high school classes, so you would just have to be able to just show up every day and just do your work, and then you'd be well off. And it ended up being that way. If you show up to class every day and you do your work, you'd be well off. I guess I must assume that also if you don't show up, that you can still be on good terms, but it doesn't work like that.
I came from a high school where, I had pretty tough classes, but, it's college, so things are a step up. And I was kind of worried, but once I kind of got acclimated to the environment, it was pretty easy and pretty fun, but, there are still challenging times. It's about time management and just kind of getting it done.
I think the best part about the Britain Path was definitely having a mentor there to help me, because she was the same major as I am right now, so she's taken all the classes that I was taking at that time.
The biggest advantage most definitely would have to be the structure. Because I played sports, I was able to I had to find a way to organize my time. And the Britain Path gave me pretty much a schedule and how to keep everything organized. And without that organization, I probably wouldn't have been able to get through my first couple of semesters.
It's real easy to get lost your freshman year here, especially with all the workload that comes with it. The biggest advantage was having a tutor. He really helped me kind of sit down and map out my first semester and allowed me to, be successful at the things that I was doing.
I don't think I would have made it through first semester without the Britain Path.
Quite honestly, I would not be where I am today without the Britain Path program.
So Britain Path definitely was something that I'm glad I did. Definitely something that has helped me get to where I am in the college right now. I'm doing very well in my classes. In my professional career, I definitely believe that it will help. It's just something that builds upon itself.
Being in the Britain Path definitely helped me make time management skills through going to classes, practice, and having time to study in the end for my classes so I could pass.
I never made an agenda before college, and the Britain Path program taught me how to make an agenda and how to follow that to the T. So that honestly is what made me successful in college.
We are cleaning up the grounds. There's many gravestones that are tipped over or cracked or buried under years of debris. So we've been picking up sticks and pulling weeds, making it look a lot cleaner, as well as uncovering some graves that probably haven't been seen for 50 years or so. So it's been really emotional experience to be able to see some of these graves that haven't been seen in so long, and hopefully get them seen again by family or just anybody passing through.
We can't go back and stop the Holocaust from happening, but we can try and fight against the lasting effects of it, and trying to make sure that these people are remembered and they're cared for, because their families are, some of them may not be around anymore to take care of these graves. So it's very important that just because someone did something awful, that we will not allow that to continue to have an impact on these people.
Even though this is something very small, we're undoing some of the hate and fighting against hate and anti-Semitism that was like why this was destroyed.
It gives us a chance to honor those who were affected by the Holocaust. A lot of these people actually died before the Holocaust, and their families may not be able or never got the chance to be able to come here and care for their graves. And a lot of the destruction that happened, it's giving us students a chance to fight against the acts of the Holocaust, and I think that's the most important part.
I became interested in this program because it seemed like a great opportunity. I know a couple of students who were in my sorority who had talked about this program, and whenever they talked about it, they said it was by far their favorite experience at Albion and wanted to try it out.
I think that this program is just completely incredible, and its ability to try and reshape people's minds and show people the human side of the Holocaust and see that while we're not dealing with actual victims here, we're dealing with people that lost the ability to have someone to care for them because of the Holocaust. And the ability to do something against hate and prejudice, to make sure that these people are not lost to the sands of time, is something I think that is really inspiring and something that more people should do.
그 위에 나는 너 Baby baby 나는 뭘 좀 아는 놈 뛰는 놈그 위에 나는 놈 Baby baby 나는 뭘 좀 아는 놈 You know what I'm saying 오빤 강남 스타일 Sexy lady 오빤 강남 스타일 Sexy lady 오빤 강남 스타일
And we're back here at Holland, Michigan at Hope at Smith Field at Hope College. And the Brits find themselves down 20-3 at halftime. And Jimmy, I'll tell you what, over the halftime, it just rained like crazy. Now, it has slowed down considerably as we're getting ready to open up the third quarter here. But if it rains like it did at halftime, this is going to remind you a lot of that Olivet game of a couple weeks ago.
I just don't see the big plays happening, especially in the passing game in the second half like we saw in the Olivet game. Saw a lot of rain, really weird patches of standing water on the field too, with the limited drainage that they had on that field and around the surrounding areas. But we still saw some big pass plays that day. I don't anticipate seeing those today. I think the biggest pass play we saw was late in the second quarter. That was about a 17, 18-yard touchdown pass from Oppel, and I think that's about as big a pass play as you're going to see. The Flying Dutchmen have done an excellent job controlling the ground game and therefore controlling the time of possession. And I'd have to think with a...
Yeah, it looks like the radar right now looks like the rain's going to get out of our way. Halftime stats here are non-existent. I think they're having some troubles today with their stat machine. It's 20-3 here, and around the conference, here's a shocker. Trine and Alma tied at 6, Jim, and they're about ready to head to half there. Probably are already there. We've shown it in 1 second, but 6-6 between Trine and Alma. Kalamazoo up on Rockford 6-0. And let's see, the other one, Adrian and Olivet, we do not have a score right now up on the MIAA site. We'll look for a score on that one as well. And I know they're working on putting some stats together. They've been talking quite a bit down there, going over play-by-play by hand, because I think they're having a few problems with some computers. That modern technology is wonderful when it works, is what they always say, right?
But you definitely have to take your hat off to the Hope College crew up here, Jim. That is not an easy feat to have to go play-by-play through what was a pretty busy and fast-moving first half of football and then log play-by-play. Who had the ball, how many yards, who made the tackle, so on and so forth. So my hat's off to them. That's yeoman's work.
The penalty basically sets the Brits all the way back to the 25-yard line. They will kick this one up to the 35-yard line of Hope, and one of the up guys gets that and is knocked down as he crosses the 45-yard line. 82. Kozlowski was the young guy that caught that ball, advanced it to some pretty nice field position as he'll get up to the 45-yard line, almost the 46, where they mark that one down to be first down and 10 now for Hope. And again, if you remember, it was the personal foul right at the last play of the football game, the block in the back, that set up that long field and that short kick here for the Britons and sets up the Hope Flying Dutch in a pretty good spot. They'll send doubles to the top, doubles to the bottom, turn around, and they'll hand the ball off to Campbell. Campbell trying to sweep his left end, and he's got a whole bunch of Britons in front of him. He'll not get anywhere. In fact, he'll be knocked out of bounds for a loss of a couple right in front of the Brits' sideline. And, Jimmy, I think there's laundry on the field.
I think it's going to be a hold against the offensive line there, grabbing Austin Lynn, 98, as he's trying to move to his right, and you saw him, his left shoulder kept kind of getting pulled back towards the center of the field, and eventually he's looking at the official like, I'm stringing him to the outside. But at some point, you see my shoulder and my whole body get twisted because of somebody tugging. At some point, you got to call that. So they get the 10-yard penalty there, and I believe with the loss, that might bring up a second and 21.
So the Britons with a nice job. That would have basically been about a 2-yard loss on that play, but it will be a first down now in 21 as they will accept the penalty instead of the 2-yard loss. So instead of second down and 12, it'll be first down now in about 21. And again, that pistol look with Campbell to the right. Campbell, they're moving all day long. That's the one thing they have not called this afternoon. Campbell's been a step early pretty much all afternoon coming out of his block before the ball was snapped. But they didn't call it. The pass was incomplete. It'll be second down and 21.
Well, maybe the Same explanation as to how when you get an interception you can get your helmet pulled off, but there's no face mask penalty.
Brits have had a couple of procedure calls already on them, and I'll tell you what, if you watch, in fact, it was Lee. I think it was Campbell before. They bring Lee back in right now. Lee will go to the left of the quarterback who's in the pistol. They'll send doubles here to the home side and a single to the top. They're going left to right. Quarterback will keep it. Off left tackle, off across the 45 to about the 46-yard line. Mason Oppel gets most of that penalty back, but it'll set up a third down now and about 10 for Hope. Sauter makes the tackle for the Britons. They'll give him an extra yard, so make it third down and 9 now. And Oppel, again, works out of that pistol look.
And
Lee to his left.
On.
Doubles to the bottom, single to the top as they're going left to right here. And again, Lee out early. Oppel in the pocket looking to throw. Now he's going to roll left. Breaks a tackle. He's across midfield, lowers his shoulder, and runs through Rodriguez at the yard marker, and I think he'll have a first down.
And again, that's all Oppel right there, Jim, putting that shoulder down. We said in the first half that he is not like a lot of quarterbacks that'll slide at the end of a run. He is one that's going to use all of that 6'2 frame. He's going to put his head down, and he's going to drive forward. And that's one that you can't let that happen if you're the Britons.
Again, they'll turn and hand the ball. This time it goes to Lee, and Lee runs off right tackle for 10 and across the 35 to the 34. And we have a late flag at the top, and I believe Henry's going to get called. Michael Harvey's going to get called for the little extracurricular there after the run was over.
Yep. And completely unnecessary penalty right there, too. Well after the play had ended, way away from the play, driving through a block, and he just drives him to the ground right there. That's an easy call for the official and a terrible penalty for the Britons.
The run would have been almost enough for the first down, but it would have been about a yard short. Unnecessary roughness against Harvey, and it was one of those situations. He was locked up with a guy up on top, and he was the last guy to take a swing on the top of that football field, and that's always the way that it works. The last guy is the guy that gets the flag. So Harvey gets the call. The penalty marches the ball down to the 20-yard line of the Britons right now. It'll be first down and 10 now for Hope, and they'll turn and hand to Lee. Right tackle, good yardage, inside the 15 to about the 14-yard line, as Lee will get 5 on first down, almost 6.
And it just goes to show, Jim, for any meaningful contact by the Britons defense, he's 5-6 yards down the field. So, it's always going to bring up a second and short, and then usually within 2 plays, 3 plays tops, they're moving the chains. The run defense, Jim, has to stiffen up for the Britons.
Hope offensive line doing a nice job opening up holes right in the middle of that football field. 12:43 to play, third quarter. Brits find themselves down 20-3 with Hope driving, and they really need a stop here. Turn, fake the ball to Lee. Here comes the rush. Oppel in a hurry throws the ball. It's
Beautiful
complete
catch.
Down around the 10-yard line. And it appears to be a first down to Curtis Slink. In fact, it was Boss on that reception, number 8.
Got both feet down there, too, Jim. That was a pro-style completion. Got just past the sticks. Good job by Oppel, staying in after rolling out to his right, staying in the face of adversity and delivering that one on the money.
Ball on the 10, handoff to Lee, wide open spaces off that right end, and Lee will just rumble his way to the end zone with nobody in a white jersey around him. So they sealed everything on that right end, and Lee put 2 hands on the football and just ran it to the end zone. So a 10-yard touchdown run by Lee makes it 26-3 now with the extra point coming.
So that drive, aided in part by the personal foul penalty that ended the first half, gives the Flying Dutchman excellent field position, and they take just under 3 minutes to march it straight down, and that big run finishing off an impressive drive that gives them now a 24-point lead with the extra point being good.
Low snap, but the holder with a nice job is to pull that ball up and straighten it up, and Ford drives it through for an easy one. And like you said, Jimmy, 27-3, and the Britons find themselves in a big hole. And an offense that really has not shown any spark this afternoon whatsoever. So they will have to now try to figure a way to put some points on the board and slow this Hope football team down. But I'll tell you what, it's been an impressive afternoon. As you said, Jim, it's just been running game. Pound, 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 pound. I wish we had some stats this afternoon, but they would be a little discouraging because I've got to believe Hope's sitting somewhere around that 250-yard mark already with rushing.
You have to think that that's going to be pushed to 350 by the end of the game because they're not in a position right now where they need to worry about putting the ball up. They'll probably just do it to keep the defense back a little bit, but for the most part, the offensive line has had its way with the Britain's defensive front.
Looks like live stats all over the world having troubles today. I was trying to look in on that Adrian Olivet game, and the stats there are 0-0 at the beginning of the ball game. So live stat software, I think, on the blink all around the world here this afternoon as the Brits get ready to receive this kick. This ball will be kicked down to the 9-yard line. That's poor. He'll bring it to the center of the football field, looking for a block. Now heads all the way across the other side, and will be dragged down at the 23-yard line right in front of his bench. Started on the Hope sideline, worked it all the way trying to get a lane up in front of his team, and couldn't really find anything and ran out of real estate. Ball will be marked down at the 24-yard line, first down and 10.
Good speed by the coverage team from the Flying Dutch as well there. A lot of room on that cutback right there, but they never allowed him to go north-south on that cut. He was pretty much just running east-west as he got tackled near, like you said, the Britain's sideline.
Thomas will be the quarterback. Zarnecki will be the running back. They'll send 3 wide receivers right in front of us here on the home side as they'll head from the right side to the left side of your computer here today. Blanzy's in the middle, and they've got a diamond right in front of us here. Single wide receiver is Koski to the top. Wide side of the football field, the home side right now. Thomas calls for the football. Looks to throw up here to Poor to that little flanker screen. Gets a block, but not much more, and he'll get to the 25-yard line and then be spun out of bounds after a pickup of about a yard by David Boss.
Jim, they've run that play a lot, and it's puzzling a little bit because as a left-handed quarterback, he's having to his natural motion is to throw towards his right, and he's having to turn his body and throw to his left, kind of across his body. It's taken a long time to develop.
Thomas in some trouble in the backfield, and he's running out of real estate at the 15-yard line, and he will be dropped right there. Jorgensen, 92, one of the first guys there, and Jorgensen wouldn't let him loose.
And Telfor, 45, also, Jim, had him around the hips right there, and that allowed Jorgensen for the cleanup. So you share that sack, but again, Thomas has to know when the pressure is up, even if you just have to throw it in the general area of a receiver, risk a grounding penalty because that's the second or third time today that he's been sacked basically in a straight back drop.
6-yard loss, 3rd and 15. Thomas throws this one deep. Koski's going after it. They're fighting with the defensive back out around the midfield stripe. Brits would have liked to have seen a little bit of a flag on that one, but Koski comes up short with the completion. Van Vliet, the guy on the coverage, and a nice job by Boss as well to be back there, and the Britons not able to pull that one in, not getting the flag, and forced to kick this football away from about their 17-yard line.
And that was good step-for-step coverage ball, a little bit underthrown. Sometimes you can get a defensive pass interference penalty on those, but in that case, just good defense.
Blanzy with a nice kick, and it will hit just across the 50-yard line, then take a Hope bounce and bounce back to about the 48-yard line. So Hope will have the football on their own 48-yard line, first down and 10, 10:52 to play third quarter, and they have a 27-3 lead here on the Britain Sports Network.
An insult added to injury as we look right next to us in the booth to our right. The Britain's assistant coaches up there, both of the windows completely fogged up, and you almost can't even see the field through those. So not really sure how that happens, but certainly positive that they're not too happy about it.
Well, a little excitement on the other side there. Hand the ball off to Campbell. He'll try the left side for a very short pickup. He'll get to midfield.
Good stop there by Dallas Reynolds, 92. Was blocked down to the ground but never lost sight of the running back right there. Reached up with the right arm, got that foot and stopped him for virtually no gain. 2nd
down and 9. They'll give him about a yard, almost a yard on that play, but it was a generous spot to say the least. Right at midfield now, the ball. 10:29. Clock is counting here. Flanker goes in motion. They'll hand and turn the ball to Campbell. Campbell off left tackle, still on his feet at the 40, falls forward at the 35, and basically a shoestring grab and tackle by Tyler George, or Campbell, was off to the races.
Running game just continuing to expose the Britons' front four. They're just not getting stops on those up-the-gut runs.
Again, pistol look here for the quarterback, and he'll turn again, hand to Campbell again. Nope, this time it's Lee. Lee up the middle of the football field, cuts to the left, to the 10, to the 5, high steps into the end zone. 3 or 4 Britons with a chance at a tackle down around the 15, then a 10 again. And Lee just basically high-stepped his way through every low tackle that was coming his way and walked his way into the end zone. So Lee with his second touchdown of the afternoon, and it's 33-3 now. Britons on the 30-point deficit here on the scoreboard here at Hope this afternoon.
And again, the offensive line doing its job today for the Flying Dutchman, getting that push, and like you said, the high stepping right there kept a straight-on running style, and it was impossible to get any kind of a hip or leg tackle. He was able to just shrug them off.
Ford with his fourth attempt of the afternoon, and this one is good. Had the first one blocked, and since then he has been perfect. And just like that, it's 34-3 as the Britons find themselves down by 31 with 9:50 to play here yet in the third quarter. Got to believe that there probably are going to be some new faces in this Hope lineup before this afternoon's over, unless the Britons start to show some offense.
You think I think you see Kyle Thomas for at least another series or two. He has to put something together. He has to put a drive together on a day like today.
I got to believe that for my money anymore, it's just time to leave the young fella in there, let him play the year out, and make it happen. Next year will be his sophomore year, and the year under his belt, things ought to be a little bit easier for him. Before this afternoon here at Hope, it's been a nightmare.
Certainly credit to the Flying Dutchman defense, Jim. Thomas, a mobile quarterback, has shown the ability to get decent yardage when he has pulled it down and run, but their defensive front has taken the outside run option away from him by getting good push up the middle.
Ball kicked to Robinson, who will step in the end zone and then bring it out. Straight up the middle of the football field, looking for a block at the 25-yard line. He gets rustled right down right there. If he get one more block, he had a wide open lane but couldn't get that block, and he's down at the 25, first down and 10. So if he just taken a knee in the end zone, it'd have been at the 25, but instead he at least did get the ball out to where it would have been placed down with a touchback. So first down and 10 Brits, 9:43 to play here, third quarter. And the Britons find themselves down by 31.
Statistically speaking, in the third quarter, Hope has played pretty tight. Every other quarter, they've significantly outscored their opponent. Coming into today's game, they were outscored 41-39 in quarter number 3 total throughout the season. But again, dominating performance in all other 3 quarters for the season by the Dutch.
Thomas drops, throws across the middle, and he's got his guy Poor at the 31-yard line. But as Colin makes the turn and the cut, he slips and falls down. He'll get 6, almost 7 on that first down completion, and the Brits now have a second down and 3. Zarnecki again, the running back to the right of Thomas. Triples here on the home side, the wide side of the field. They'll fake the ball to Zarnecki. Thomas going to throw the deep one up the sideline, and that one knocked away at the last second. And a nice job by Mason Rosado, who was going stride for stride with Sean Koski up the visitor's sideline at about the 40-yard line. Ball put pretty much on the money, but Rosado able to knock it away.
And he didn't even have to turn around in that case to look for the ball. He's watching the receiver. See the receiver start to reach out, and as he's reaching out, clubs it at just the right time. Good defense.
Third down at about 4. Across the middle, that's Blanzy with the catch for the first down across the 40 at the 44-yard line. Thomas right on the money to Brian Blanzy, and Blanzy has plenty for the first down as he'll actually be marked just across the 44, first down and 10.
I think at the end of this game, statistically, you'll see that Thomas is going to get quite a few yards to the air, but again, look at the score, 34-3. He's going to have to pretty much throw almost every play.
Zarnecki again, the running back. They'll fake to him. Thomas with the pump and then throws the ball a little bit low and behind Colin Poor, who was running that skinny post up the visitor's sideline at about the 30-yard line. If he'd have threaded the needle, put it on the money, I think Poor's on his way to the house, but that ball thrown a good 5 yards behind him.
Yep, and he had to double clutch that throw in the face of pressure. Poor did have a step on the defender, but short hop that ball to him.
Triples here on the home side for the Britons. Single receiver to the top. Zarnecki to the right of Thomas. He'll throw that little screen pass to Poor here on the home sideline. And Poor will get across the 45, step out of bounds at about the 48-yard line, 47-yard line. Give him about 4 on that catch. And it'd be third down now and about 7 for the Britons.
Almost thinking the coaches in the booth next to it just open the window.
Yeah, they get to do something. I'm not sure that the windows do open, but maybe they do. But it is all steamed up next door. You don't think the coaches are into this thing. Thomas keeps this one. He'll have the first down. He's into Hope territory at the 42-yard line. Looked downfield, pulled it back in, decided to run that football, and again, a first down by the run by Thomas.
And that will open up as well. You know, those quarterback sacks obviously take rushing yards away from Kyle Thomas, but besides throwing right there, the defense knows he's going to have to throw it too, so you'll have scramble options.
8 minutes. Thomas in the pocket, steps forward. Here comes pressure. He's felt it coming, pulled it down, but not in time. If he made up his mind a little earlier, he probably had 5 or 6, but instead the young fellow that was trailing him was able to catch up to him, and that was 45 Zach Telfer, who was able to drop him for about a 2-yard gain. But if Thomas would have made his mind up about a half a second earlier, he probably would have had 5 or 6.
Thomas dealing with some sort of a leg injury, too, after that play, Jim.
He's been kind of favoring the leg all day. Zarnecki now with the draw play. He'll be across the 40 to about the 37-yard line.
And, Jim, I think that handoff right there is just give me a play off. Don't make me put any pressure on my right leg. So wonder if it was maybe a hip, maybe a thigh, or –
He's gimpy on that leg. There's just no doubt about it.
I mean, you get twisted by a large D lineman or linebacker, pull back your right hip, you figure has to be taking some damage every play there.
Thomas throws and he completes. That's the Canfield, and Canfield has 4 Hope defensive backs on him, but he drags him across the 30-yard line to the 28-yard line, lost his hat, so he's going to have to come off the sideline.
Helmet pulled off at the end. The second time we've seen that with no flag, so they're letting them play.
Freshman pulls in the pass for the first down. And with that, as he goes to the sideline, Tyler Sykes will now check in for the Britons. And they will send Sykes and Poor here to the home side and send Blanzy and Koski to the top. Freeman checks into the football game. He'll be to the right now of Thomas. They'll send Poor in motion. They'll fake the little pass onto the flat, and Thomas will keep it. He'll be ahead across the 20 to about the 19-yard line, and a nice job to look over to Poor. Everybody looked that way. Then he looked back up the middle of the football field. There was wide open spaces. Thomas gets 8 on first down. It'll be second down and 2, and the Brits in their hurry-up package now as they're at the line of scrimmage. Freeman to the left of Thomas in the pistol. Triples to the bottom side. They'll hand the ball to Freeman on the draw. Freeman was to room at the middle. He's inside the 20 to about the 15-yard line. He got submarined right there. A nice big hit by Nick Holt. But Freeman with the first down carry, and the Britons now have the football down around the 9-yard line, first down and goal.
The kind of offense I'm sure Coach Rundle would have liked to have seen in the first quarter, Jim, as opposed to when the team's down 31, and you have to think Hope not necessarily laying off, but probably not playing with the exact same intensity as they were in quarter number 1.
5:50 to play in the third quarter. Throw to the back of the end zone. Catch, touchdown,
yes,
Canfield. Nice job by Canfield to fight off the defensive back in the back left corner of the end zone and pull that football in. And I believe that was Boss that had the coverage back in that corner. But Canfield on a 10-yard completion, and it's now 34-9, and the Britons will go for 1.
Must score right there at the 5:41 mark of quarter number 3, but a significant hill to climb yet for the young Britons.
Fabry in on the extra point. Good snap, good placement. Kick is good. And just like that, the Brits now down 34-10 with 5:41 to play here in the third quarter. So the Brits did a nice job of being able to move down the football field in that drive, Jimmy. That's exactly what they need. But now that defense is going to step up and come up with a couple stops if this is still going to be a football game this afternoon.
3-possession game, 24 points. But it all starts, as Jim said, with good kick coverage and then a good defensive stop, something that the Britons have not been able to do very often. Once we get live stats, if we're able to get live stats, I'd be curious to see the number of I don't know that Hope has punted the ball yet, have they? Maybe once?
Gosh, I don't know. Without any stats
punted,
here in the ball game, it's made it tough to follow some of those things because you don't normally keep them when you expect them to come. Otherwise, we'd have had a running total going here. But
5 touchdowns, 1 missed extra point. So I'd have to think if they have punted, it's only been once. So, you know, the Britons have not really had too many stops yet.
Lee and Van Vliet will be deep, and they will kick this ball to Lee, who will field at the 20, heading towards the home sideline at the 40, and then finally wrapped up at the 43-yard line and dropped as a nice job by Lee to be able to bring that football out for about a 22-yard, 23-yard return.
Little chippy play again right there, and I think it's just frustration building on what has been a long day for the Britons. Hope has played an excellent football game, and there's been a little bit of back and forth. But you know, a day like today, you just have to keep your head about you. You know, the score is what it is. Play, one possession at a time. Don't worry about what happened before.
Oppel and Campbell in the backfield right now. Campbell in that eye look, fullback to the right on that H-back slot. And they'll turn and hand the ball off to Campbell. He'll go off left side for a couple. Across the 45 to about the 46. Clock rolling now, and we'll head down towards 5 minutes before they spot this ball and start everything up again. Give him 2 on that carry, actually, at the 46-yard line.
Better job by the defensive front of the Britons right there. He wasn't able to slam it into another gear, headed downhill on that run. He was forced to stop and cut to his left.
Davenport on this stop the last time.
There
this time they hand it to him, and going low is Sean Cubitt Miller. And Miller went down to Campbell's knees, didn't let him go anywhere. He'll get a yard as he falls over the top of him and stretches the ball out, but it'll be 3rd down now and 7. And a nice job by Cubitt Miller to get down low and submarine Campbell right there for a very short game.
But now the running back who's really done more damage, I would argue, to the Britons is out there in the field. Lee, who's run one in and caught one. So very versatile back. Runs with a lot of power.
Pistol look. Let's see if they'll throw it. Dropping back is Oppel. Nope, he's going to run it. Comes right up the middle of the football field, runs into a bunch of Britons, but because he's a very strong runner, able to force his way across the 45-yard line of the Britons for the first down. Looked like they had him stood up and ready to go down about 2 yards short. But these runners from Hope have really done a nice job of making contact and pushing the Britons backwards. And that's exactly what he did right there, 1st down and 10.
Well, not to be denied.
Nope, not at all.
That's the kind of mentality you want to have, whether you're a running back or a quarterback in that position. You're going to take on the defender, and you're going to drive to get those extra 2 or 3 yards.
Oppel turns and hands to Lee, and Lee again finds room off left tackle. He'll be close to a 1st down on his first run of this series. He'll get 8. As they're going to mark him down at the 36-yard line. 3:40 to play, quarter number 3, and the Brits down 34-10 here on the Brit Sports Network.
Dominating performance by the run game of the Flying Dutch. The Brits know it's coming, but they still aren't able to stop it.
Here comes a run blitz, and they still plug up the wrong holes, and Lee gets some opening around the end, and he's inside the 15, steps out of bounds at the 11. They shot all the linebackers up in the 1 and 2 gaps, and Lee saw it coming and cut it out around the end, and there was nobody out there to contain as all the linebackers were caught up in the wash, and Lee runs his way down to the 10-yard line is where they actually mark him out. It'll be 1st down and 10 for Hope.
Then as a defender, you're trailing right there, hoping to finally get a good shot on him at about the 10, and he just steps out of bounds where he can't touch him. So that last little, the finish to that run right there, even a little more insulting for the Britons.
Oppel will run the option this time, pitch it to Campbell around left end, and he gets tripped up inside the 5 at about the 1. Looked like he was taking that one to the end zone, but a nice job by Riley Souter to get down on that ankle and trip him up right down at the 1-yard line, about the 2.
And he had really no lane. That's the part that is frustrating to watch. They had him strung out to the left, and it looked like they were going to force him to the far sideline, and instead he just makes a cut, heads north-south, and really stumbled. Otherwise he would have ended up with another touchdown.
Second down and goal from the 1.5, and they'll turn to Campbell, and Campbell tries right guard for very little gain. So it'll be third down now and short from about the 1 yard line.
This could be a statement stop, not necessarily for the result of the game, but just for the confidence of the run defense of the Britons. If they can keep them out of the end zone here, I have to think that if they stop them here, they'd kick, because they'd make it a 4-possession game either way. But this is an important down for the confidence of the Britons defense.
Campbell will line up in that I formation right behind Oppel, who will be in the pistol look at the 5. He'll turn, hand to Campbell, and Campbell has an easy way in off left tackle as they just absolutely collapse the right side of that defensive line. Campbell got to the line of scrimmage and just had to decide which side did you want to step into, because there was no contact there to be made at the goal line. 40-10 now, as that offensive line of hope here today has absolutely won the battle in the trenches. Got to take your hat off to those guys, the way that they have played this afternoon, Jimmy. They have just absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage.
Yep, and again, it's nothing flashy, but you look at the scoreboard and you see 40 going on potentially 41 points. Doesn't always have to be flashy to be very effective, and this offense is very effective. They're built for not only MIAA play, but they're built for postseason play too.
Yeah, they really are, and it's it's unfortunate as the extra point is kicked. It's 41 now to 10. Kind of unfortunate that you can only get one team into the NCAA, and that appears to be Trine now. And the last we heard, Trine was starting to put some points on the scoreboard here. We'll head on up to the MIAA site and see if we can't look in on some of these scores right now.
And while Jim's checking those, I want to remind you to go to GoBrits.com to check out all of the fall sports action. We get ready to transition from fall sports to winter sports, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you a number of men's and women's basketball games as well coming up this winter. But you get all the information on fall sports at GoBrits.com or Twitter.com/GoBrits.
And here you go. It looks a little better now if you are a Trine fan. 27-6 now, late in the third quarter, Trine over Alma. That was a much better score. It was 6-6 at halftime there, and Alma giving Trine all they wanted, but Trine now found their stride in the third quarter, and they're up 3 scores as they get ready to wrap up the conference championship here in football this year. Deep kick comes all the way back and will be fielded by by Colin Poore down inside the 10 at about the 15. He's out across the 25, and I had to look through that glass that you're talking about over on the coach's side, Jimmy, and you really can't see through.
No.
Little bit of anxiety going on over there, I think, at this point in time. They've worked up a sweat on their side in their little coach's box, and it's a little difficult to see out their window at this point in time.
Need a squeegee.
Yeah.
So
minute 25 to go here, third quarter.
Just going to say the same thing.
Yep.
Are you seeing the video feed?
All hope so far, 41-10, as Kyle Thomas does come back out for this drive. And I'm kind of with you, Jim. I hope that Thomas just plays the entire game out. You learn as much in defeats like this as you do in victories.
Well, and Blanzy's going to be a senior next year. Thomas is going to be a sophomore. It's his time and his team right now as he takes the snap, fakes the throw downfield, keeps it himself, and crosses the 30-yard line to about the 30.5. So he'll pick up about 3 on that first down carry. But it is just his time. So no need. I know early on when you still had the season and the hopes for the season, I could see how the coach would want to bring Sam Blanzy in and change horses. But now, as long as he's not injured, it's just time for him to ride the rest of the season out, for my money.
And I don't doubt that he isn't 100% either.
High snap. Thomas pulls it down. Now he runs for his life towards his sideline and has to throw this one out of bounds as he had pressure coming from all directions.
Smart move by Thomas right there. Again, favoring that right leg. No question he is not 100%. To what extent? I don't think anybody will tell you honestly how hurt they are on the field. No, I'm fine. I'll play through it. And with only just over a game to play in the season, I think he's just going to grit it out.
Freeman in the backfield to the left now. Thomas in the pistol, and he drops back and looks to throw. He has plenty of time. Throws a little bit short at the 20-yard line to Koski. Koski's immediately wrapped up at the 30. Maybe they'll give him forward progress to the 31.5. Pickup of about 2. It'll set up a 4th down and 5, and the Brits, we're going to have to kick this one away again with 26 seconds left in the third quarter.
I think you just let the clock run out and punt it at the beginning of quarter 4, because unless you find the wind very favorable, I don't see any advantage with the play clock off to kick this one before the end of the quarter. I don't know why on earth they would even snap this one.
Blanzy waiting for things to play out. He's just going to wait. 2 seconds, 1 second, that's it.
What's the benefit?
Quarter number 3 is in the books. Brits finding themselves down 41 to 10 here through 3. And we've got 15 more minutes of football to play here before we're out of hope this afternoon. So we'll take a look back up here on the MIAA, see if we can get you a couple of other scores here from this afternoon. Also looking for some stats here as well. See if we'll find anything out there this afternoon that we've had some troubles with stats this afternoon. We apologize for that, but I think the stat machine just not working here at Hope this afternoon. Congratulations to the Hope ladies this afternoon. They wrapped up the soccer championship here today with a win over Olivet.
I blame cybersecurity.
There you go. You have those every now and then.
Yep, you said that the stats don't work anywhere. It's obvious someone hacked into the stat factory where all the stats are kept. So the Brits will get ready to punt. Blanzy drops back. He'll be standing at his 17-yard line ready to field the snap. The last snap a little better. The ones previous to that a little high, which made you nervous. But at this point in the game, 31-point game, not as concerned about a bad snap as to get a good one. No rush. Blanzy gets a good kickoff. This one will be fielded.
Van Vliet's going to let it go right on past him at the 20, and it'll be down at the 16-yard line.
And that's one where I think special teams coach is going to bring him over and remind him that you are allowed to field those.
Well, on a tough day like today, you probably are happy to just let that one go and take the football. Let's see, around the conference, again, no score from Adrian Olivet right now. 27-6, trying on top of Alma. Kalamazoo up on Rockford, 6-0. And let's see if we can find a couple of other ones here for you. We'll go look for that Adrian Olivet score here for you real quick and see if we can find anything there.
Coming into today's game, Jim, the Flying Dutchman in red zone opportunities, 21 touchdowns on 31 red zone opportunities. That's extreme efficiency.
Turn of the handoff comes to Lee, I believe, in the backfield, and he'll lower his shoulder and cross the 20, and a late flag comes as a result of something going on the football field in the pile. Arms and elbows and feet and everything else swinging on the ground right now, as both these teams now starting to get a little bit nasty on that football field.
Definitely frustration on the part of the Britons. I'm surprised the Dutch are taking the bait, though, Jim. When you're up 31 and you have had as dominating performance as they have had, yeah, there have been a few plays like the crackback block at the end of the first half, but for the most part, we get the call.
There you go. It's going to go on one of the offensive linemen, 64.
Brady eating the freshman. And you mentioned, Jim, the likelihood of seeing some new players out there. I don't think Brady was originally part of the two deep. The freshman getting some meaningful minutes here as we start quarter number 4. But, you know, again, I think that they're seeing what has happened up to this point in all 3 phases of the game. And, you know, even though you're ahead big and you ask, you know, how can you take the bait, they're also not going to let Albion come and push them around. And so, you know, you're going to have these kind of penalties every once in a while where they're going to be marching backwards.
Rain has pretty much stopped here as quarterback drops, and he will throw this when he's going deep, but his receiver fell down. I'll tell you what, he had aspirations of tossing this one the length of the football field to Cooper Caccini.
And I think if he puts more air under that.
Caccini actually fell down. I think his intended receiver really was on the right stripe there, and he slipped and fell down and was probably, if he would have kept his feet, might have been where he wanted to be. But he slipped about 15 yards down the field, the ball thrown 25 yards down the field, and it just kind of landed helplessly in no man's land. Third down now and about 15. Campbell again, the running back in the I formation.
3rd and long has not been a problem for the Dutch so far today, though, Jim.
Oppel drops and looks to throw. Has time, gets hit as he throws, almost intercepted. Rayshon Robinson saw it coming, stepped in front, and the last second in front of Kozlowski. And if he'd have pulled that one in, it was an easy little walk about 10 yards to the end zone. Instead, not able to pull it in. It'll be 4th down now. The Brits will get the ball back on the punt.
So good stop right there. The Britons have to have something upon which to build. And that drive right there, aided by an unsportsmanlike penalty by the Flying Dutchman, leaves now a 2nd punt from this exact spot in this exact end zone. The stakes were a little higher the first time through, though, Jim, as opposed to this time where they're up comfortably 41-10 with just over 14 to play in the game.
Colin Poore waiting as the rush gets close but doesn't get there. He'll field this ball, then drop it, kick it around, and then fall on it at midfield, and then pays for it as he has 3 Hope players following him right there at the midfield stripe. Poore had his mind set on pulling that one in and getting up the sideline for 15 or 20. Couldn't pull down the ball, and then kicked it and bounced it around and then had to just fall on it. And that cost him because basically he had 3 guys running at full speed. They were more than happy to make sure he didn't get back up off the ground.
Well, and if Van Vliet, number 1, was the one, it's either him or Amari Hardy, number 1, fielding those punts. You ask why they don't. And I make the comment about how you were allowed to. maybe that's why. Obviously, they're way smarter and way more talented than I am. I obviously trust their judgment, and I jest when I say that you can return. I think everybody knows you can return those punts.
Zarnecki to the right of Thomas in the pistol. Triples in front of us on the home sideline. They'll throw that little flanker screen to Poore. He'll get a couple of blocks as he'll step across the 45-yard line and then be pushed out of bounds right there at the 45-yard line. So give him about 4 on 1st down, make it 2nd down and 6 with under 14 to play in the ball game now.
What you'd like to see is a couple of good drives by the Britons offense, a couple of stops by the defense to at least make this a competitive game, and everybody to come out healthy. Seen a lot of chippy play lately in this game, and I don't know that that's necessary at this point. Game's well out of hand.
Again, that same little flanker screen here to the same side. Picks up a couple for Colin Poore. It'll be 3rd down and about 1.
And if they're going to throw that quick pass like that, Jim, I'd always rather see Thomas go to his right, which is his natural throwing side, instead of having to twist and throw 30 yards across his body to get a couple-yard gain.
Triples go that way, though, to the visitor's sideline. Single to the bottom here, and they'll hand the ball off to Zarnecki. And Pat will be just short as he ran off the right tackle spot. Looked like he had room, and then everything just kind of collapsed on him. He'll get a yard, but he needed 2, and it'll be 4th down and 1, and the Britons going to leave the offense on the field, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
With 12:49 to play on the Hope 41-yard line, and they need to get to the 40, so they need just over a yard.
Yeah. Cutting the deficit to 28 is of very little consequence to Coach Rundle right now.
Zarnecki to the right of Thomas in the pistol. Triples here on the home side, singles to the top. Hand the ball off to Pat, and Pat will have enough for the 1st down as he fights his way with Mason Decker hanging on him across the 40 to the 39-yard line. And the little fella basically took on the big fella, and Decker, who is not real tall at 5'9", but 222 pounds.
Got a step.
Tossed on the left
Underthrown.
flat, underthrown, incomplete, and it will be 2nd down now and 10.
Good
Ball
coverage.
Towards Koski up on the visitor's sideline.
Kyle Crum, number 11, in coverage right there. Trying to catch him with a quick play. The defensive front was not set for the Flying Dutchman. However, underthrown ball and good coverage in the secondary brings up an incomplete pass in a 2nd and 10.
Brits have triples here on the home side, single to the top. Hand the ball off to Zarnecki right up the middle of the football field. Spins out of the first tackle, and then he absolutely gets drilled at the 38-yard line. And again, 43.
How is that not a penalty, though?
Colton Clute led with the helmet and basically knocked the helmet off of Zarnecki.
I'm not even talking about the hit. I'm talking about afterwards when the ball was flipped to the official. One of the Flying Dutch players took it and swatted it back about 10 yards. You can't do that.
And I think the Brits are going to take a timeout just to talk about a couple things. Well, it has been an interesting afternoon here in Holland, Michigan.
I mean, excellent hit. Don't get me wrong. But what happened afterwards with the ball, there's no call for that. And again, it's frustrating on both sides. You know, I mean, the Britons definitely, it's been a frustrating day. They've been outplayed on all three phases of the game. Flying Dutch, excellent team, really came to play. They brought it today.
Oh, they really have. Really have. So 3rd down and 8 for the Britons as they talk things over after using their first time out here in the second half. And you can tell you got a fired up group of seniors here on senior day, and the Britons really with not a whole lot to play for here for the rest of the season. One more game next week against Kalamazoo. Around the conference next week, Kalamazoo will be at Albion. Hope will be at Concordia, Wisconsin, so they are done playing in conference. Alma at Adrian, Olivet at number 25 Trine, and we'll just have to see if Trine will move up at all in the D3 world after a win this afternoon. Probably not, probably stay somewhere right around that same neighborhood, around 25. They're on their way to go 9-0 this afternoon, and they should be headed towards the NCAA here in a couple of weeks. Thomas throws out into the flat to Poor, who's up around the 36-yard line, makes the catch, wrapped up immediately after a pickup of about 3. And it'll be 4th down now and 5 for the Britons at the Hope 36-yard line.
Hard hitting and sure-handed tackling now becoming contagious as number 24, Pardonnet, flies across, all the way across the field and gets a big stick right there after a short gain.
Britons throw triples here in front of us on the home side and a single to the top. Freeman, the running back in the backfield, and he'll go out in the flats for a little screen, but they'll throw it across the middle to Blanzy, and this very sure-handed tight end drops it at the 23-yard line. That would have been plenty for the first down. Took his eye off it at the last second. It didn't come down with the football. And the incompletion will turn the football back over to the Flying Dutch here as they'll have the ball 1st down and 10 at their own 36-yard line.
I wonder what we will see in terms of the offense. But we still have Mason Oppo coming back out, and I'm a little surprised by that too, Jim.
First team offense coming on the field with a 31-point lead here at this point in time. 11 minutes and 21 seconds to go, and they will go into that I formation, the offset I with the H-back right a step in front of the quarterback. He'll turn and hand off to Campbell, and Campbell will get knocked down right at the line of scrimmage. Nice job by Austin Lynn to be able to wrap him up and drop him for no gain. 2nd down and 10.
And you have to think the defense pretty well knows what the Dutch are going to be bringing on this drive, and from all points going forward, I mean, it's no mystery. You're up big. You're going to run, and you're going to run the clock.
Again, the pistol look with a single back in the backfield. They'll hand the ball to Lee. And again, all afternoon, for my money, that I-back has been stepping forward a good count before the ball gets snapped, and nothing really has slowed that down. It's always helpful to have that extra little step forward before the snap count.
Oh, maybe they're using Arena League rules.
Maybe so.
Or CFL, one of the two. We're close to Canada up here in northern Michigan.
We are. So. We're very close to. We're getting there at least. How's that? We're closer than where we come from. 3rd down and 5 now for Hope.
Maybe we'll run into red-green up here.
Ball on the 40-yard line. 10-19 to play here in the football game. Opple drops. Here comes the heat. He's going to throw this one deep. Turn, and a nice job by the Riley Souter down here to knock that ball away from Christian Boss down around the 37-yard line right in front of the Hope bench. Souter playing the ball extremely well. That'll set up 4th down. The Brits about to get the football back. And I'll tell you what, it's been a while since the Britons' defense has held.
Last possession and this possession, last one they punted from the end zone, but the Britons weren't able to do anything with it this time. They're punting from the line of scrimmage of 40. They'll be back at about the 26-yard line to kick. 10 at the line of scrimmage for the Brits, showing block.
Poor stands back and waits for it. Here comes the rush. It doesn't get there. Colin Poor waves his hand in the air. Will take the ball at the 26-yard line of the Britons. It'll be 1st down and 10 there with 9:59 to play in this football game.
You have to think Colin Poor remembers the last time he fielded a punt, which is why he went fair catch the moment that ball was in the air. That, and if you send 10 to rush, you have nobody to block. So I don't care how good an athlete you are. Usually when it comes to that, you have 3 or 4 defenders headed at you about 20, 25 mile an hour,
Yep.
you're just going to call fair catch, and you're going to set that ball down, and you're going to move over to the sideline and get ready for the play.
Thomas again will set up in the pistol look. Freeman to his left, doubles to the top and the bottom, and he'll turn and hand the ball off to Freeman, and Freeman will run the football off right tackle for a couple of yards out to about the 29-yard line. And that pile kind of hard to get up off of right now. People are tackling and holding on at the bottom end of that thing.
Yeah, and at this point in the game with just about 9.5 to play, what's the rush to get up?
Doubles go to the top. We've got a slot on the 8s on the visitor's sideline. Thomas drops. Now he's got pressure coming his way. Able to get away from it and throw to the middle of the football field and almost caught but then dropped. Tell you what, that was a ball that was put right on the hands of Colby Canfield at the midfield stripe. And Canfield had a orange helmet right near him, but he wasn't able to pull it in, and the defensive back able to help that ball hit the ground before he was able to hit the ground himself with it. So 9:20 to play, fourth quarter, as the clock will stop.
And we mentioned Thomas DeBlanzy, and they're trying to get it to the other players. We hope today was the day where those other players are going to step up. Unfortunately, not as consistent as the Britons would like.
Thomas, no place to go. Now he's running for his life. 20-yard line, 22-yard line. He's going to get dropped right there. And a big job by, I think, Jake Babb, number 90, was the guy that got in there first.
Long arms right there. Thomas tried to spin out and roll to his right, but by that point he'd already reached out and grabbed the shoulder, so no horse collar right there. Just long arms, a lot of upper body strength, able to stop him from continuing to roll down the field as it brings up 4th and forever as we go to 8:45 to play in the fourth quarter, and it is all Dutch, 41-10.
Van Vliet will be back deep at the 35-yard line. Blanzy gets another good kick away. Van Vliet will step up, field it at the 37, head towards the Brits sideline. Brits there to knock him out of bounds at around the 49-yard line on the Hope side of the 50.
Got a stiff arm at the end of that run right there, and that tackle is finished out towards the Britain sideline, so Van Vliet gets out of bounds, immediately sets that ball down and sprints back over to his end. You know that in a chippy game, the last thing you want to do is be standing one player on a bench full of frustrated opponents. Not that the Britons are going to do anything, but you get out of Dodge as quick as you can, and you go back and you warm up.
Drew Schaefer, the young guy that made the tackle there for the Britons, they'll actually say he stepped out at the 48-yard line, first down and 10. 8:29 to play in the ball game. Oppel still again in that quarterback, and he'll turn and hand to Lee, and Lee off right tackle will get some yardage across the midfield stripe to about the 48-yard line of the Britons as he'll pick up 4. Britton's able to grab down on that back ankle and not let him get anywhere. Looked like he had some room to run.
Are you surprised you still see Oppel and Campbell out there, Jim?
Totally surprised, but again, you're in a situation now where Campbell's a senior, obviously, so you're going to play him as much as you can. But and there's nothing to play for. This is their last conference game. There's nothing that they can do to change their fortune here. So I guess maybe Coach Peter Sturzman just decided that, hey, we're going to let our guys play as long as we're going to play today. Oppel fakes the handoff to Lee and then runs straight up the middle of the football field. He'll have the first down close to the 42-yard line.
When you've had a game like Lee, you don't mind when the quarterback pulls it down and runs.
Yeah, no, you've had a pretty good afternoon.
If he hadn't scored yet, I imagine he probably wouldn't be feeling quite as rosy about, hey, I had a lane to my left. But he's scored a couple times at least already, so he's had himself a pretty good afternoon.
7.5 minutes to go in this football game, and the Brits down by 31. Oppel again in that pistol look. Again, he's got Lee right behind him. He'll turn and hand it off to Lee, and Lee heads his way towards the Hope sideline. He's up the sideline, 30, 20, 15, stiff arm out of bounds, right around the 15-yard line. Tell you what, they have just absolutely sealed off any pursuit on either side when they're running around that end. There are just no Britons defenders. Till you get 10, 15 yards down the field, you're talking safeties and defensive backs having to take this big fella on 15, 20 yards down the field.
And it's a total team effort committed to the run. It's not only the offensive line sealing the edges, but it's also the wide receivers downfield getting the blocks and creating the extra space.
Turn, Campbell lowers his shoulder at the 10 inside to the 8. And these two guys are just absolutely workhorses, man. They coming forward, and they're coming with a lot of power. Schaefer makes the tackle for the Brits, but the ball now at the 9-yard line, first down and goal with 6:28 to play in the ball game.
And you're getting corners and safeties in run support when a running back is about 8 yards into a full downhill run with his head and shoulders down. Bodies aren't really meant to take that kind of contact. There's a good open field tackle right there for no gain.
Campbell had the football at the 10, got pulled down right there by 44 Hunter Shaw.
Haven't called Hunter Shaw's number a whole lot today, Jim.
Shaw tackled, I guess, right at the line of scrimmage as they marked him right back down at the 9.
So another red zone opportunity here, but not nearly the urgency for the Hope squad up 31 as we trickle under 5:40 and counting, fourth quarter.
Lee now the only running back right behind Oppel, and they work out of that pistol again. Oppel on the option, pitches to Lee. Lee cuts. He'll be down at the 5.
Like
and the Brits will knock him down there for a fourth down now and goal from the 5-yard line. And I would believe they'll probably keep that offense on the field and not kick the extra.
They're saying he got the first down.
Ah, he did, didn't he?
Yep. I was looking at the far official. At first he was coming up just shy of the first down.
So it'll be first down now and goal at the 5.
But as you and I know from calling a few years of MIAA games, they usually do not measure.
Don't need to.
They are certain.
Officiating crew in this conference are very good at being able to tell where that first down is, man.
Yeah, eagle eye.
First down and goal at the 5, and a whistle and a timeout as the play clock running very close to the 0 mark. So Hope will take the timeout instead of taking the penalty here. And with 5 minutes exactly now here to play, starting to give you a few of the Big Ten scores as Wisconsin blew out Indiana this afternoon.
We're more focused on the MIAA, though, right, Jim?
Exactly. And trying to find a couple scores this afternoon as we're having all kinds of stat issues around the world here this afternoon.
I'm telling you, Jim, cybersecurity. We have updated stats, it looks like. Maybe. We have the correct score.
There you go. Looks like maybe we will have some stats for you here at the end of this ball game this afternoon.
Well, neither player really lighting it up through the air. Kyle Thomas, 17 of 26 for 109 yards and a touchdown. Mason Oppel, 6 for 12, 48 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. On the ground, 2 runners with over 130 yards. Lee has 140 and 2 scores. Oppel, 131 and a score. Campbell, 17 for 84 and 2 touchdowns. So run early, run often.
Oppel with the pitch to Lee. Lee's going to get hit in the backfield and drop for about a yard loss. And the young guy that came up, Riley Souter, who basically worked through a block and was able to get to his legs. They'll say no gain as Lee gets back to the original line of scrimmage with 4:40 to play.
And that option, probably the one thing in offense they do that is not as crisp and as fast and sudden as everything else they do on offense. That one very laborious.
Wide receiver to the top of the bottom. They'll hand the ball off again to Lee. He'll go right up the middle of the football field. He'll get a couple and be toppled down at about the 2.5-yard line.
Good open field tackle by Donovan Slates, the freshman right there. Got him by the ankles and didn't let him spin out.
Third goal now at the 3-yard line for Hope with 4 minutes to play now in this football game. And again, the Britons down by 31, 41-10.
And no rain.
That's the good news. You know, we really did not get that nasty afternoon that we could have here today.
Hopefully it means the drive home won't be so bad.
Lee to the left of Oppel, and Oppel will call his own number. He's heading straight up the middle of the field. He'll be very close. They're going to mark him down just short of the goal line, so it'll be fourth down now and goal.
And I think if there was instant replay in D3, he would have been ruled in the end zone, but they mark him down just short, and I don't see any reason for them to try a field goal here. I think they go for it.
3 minutes and 27 seconds left to go.
And you
ball is just inches from the goal line.
You ask why you're up 31, why you go for it. I ask, why would you kick a field goal up 31 at this point?
Yeah,
even if you're stopped, they have the ball at the 1-inch line.
Oppel calls his own number, and he'll be in.
Yeah, and that's not running up the score or anything like that. That's you're executing your offense. At some point, you have to tell the opponent, you have to stop us.
Brits have not been able to do that all afternoon. Obviously, 47-10 now, as Hope on top by 37 with 3:08 to play in the ball game.
So another long drive, pretty much all run. I don't think they threw one pass, right?
Yeah, just no real need. The way that offensive line has been able to control the line of scrimmage today, it has just been run, and that's all they've needed. Good snap, good placement, good kick. Call it 48-10 now as the Brits find themselves down by 38, and it's going to be not a real long trip home, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a happy trip home for the Britons this afternoon.
Is it the Beach Boys or Jan and Dean to do run?
Yeah, well, one of those two. It didn't not going to be a.
That's been the story of the day, is they to do run.
Yes,
all
sir.
Day long.
So 3:08 to play in this ball game. Brits have the football coming back their way, but they trail 48-10 against a very solid Hope program this afternoon. And again, you go back to that game that they played against Tryon a couple of weeks ago. The winner of that one, you kind of figured, was going to be the team that moved on out of the MIAA, and it was Tryon that came home the victor that afternoon. And because of that, Hope just trying to close everything out here this afternoon on a winning note, and they will go through this season at 6-1 in the conference. And that one loss to Tryon will be the one thing that Coach Stursma and his guys will be able to focus on in the offseason to get ready for next year. We'll be with you next week. Kalamazoo will be at Albion next week, and that will be the final Saturday afternoon of the football season. Hard to imagine the 2017 season is over already. Ball kicked down to the 5-yard line. The Brits going to bring it up. That's Zarnecki with the football at the 25 across the 26. And the Brits will have 3 minutes with the play here in the fourth quarter as they find themselves down by 38, 48-10.
I like setting Zarnecki back there in kick returns. He's a good open field player. You want to get your playmakers with the ball in space. So just see what you can do with having Zarnecki run one back.
So the Brits will send Thomas and the offense back out of the football team. Colin Poore will come out in the slot. Actually, a gentleman that we have not seen an awful lot of here this afternoon, Marlon Martin here, the wide out on the home side. They'll send doubles to the top. Poore goes in motion that way. They'll turn and hand the ball off to Freeman on the draw. And Freeman will be across the 30 to about the 31, maybe the 32-yard line.
Lyman's slow to get up, but thankfully he does. That was number 50, Dan Barrett, the sophomore. Don't want to see any injuries at this point, Jim. Game's definitely over.
In fact, Elverson Mitchell, the young guy that ran that football, not Freeman, as he checks out. And they bring Freeman in now here. They'll turn and hand the football off. And about a yard, maybe two, as it's third down now and about 5. So the Brits have the football with 2 minutes to play in this football game. And I think they would love to be able to at least be able to run this thing out on their own, if at all possible. As Thomas goes into that pistol look, triples to the top single receiver here, Martin to the bottom. Thomas looking Martin's way. He's got it to Martin, and Martin hauls it in at the 45-yard line, then falls out of bounds.
Good out route right there. Soft coverage by the defense. Again, at this point in the game, the score being what it is, you're not going to see much press coverage. You're going to see more soft coverage, man and zone. And that's a case where he's given him about a 6-yard cushion off the line, so he's able to run that out route.
Thomas throwing again to Martin. Deep down the sideline, on the money, but Martin couldn't pull it in at the 20-yard line.
Lost his footing at the end of that route right there and kind of tumbled down. And when he did, that one popped out of his hands, but he had a couple steps on the defender.
And if that ball would have been thrown out in front of him, that's an easy 6 because he was wide open, but thrown a little bit behind him, had to make him wait. And as you said, Jimmy, when he lost that footing, it seemed like he lost his focus on the football as well. Second down and 10. Thomas fakes. Now he'll roll to his left. Now finally throw to Poor at midfield. Makes one miss, then steps out of bounds after he steps in front of the stripes for the first down at the 45-yard line.
Nice job extending the play by Kyle Thomas and finding the outlet receiver, Poor, on his left side near the Britain sideline. And a good in-cut right there at the end of that run to not settle for a 4-yard gain, get an 11 or 12-yard gain and a first down.
First down and 10 for the Brits. Can they score before this ball game's over? Deep throw across the middle. Colin Poor pulls it in double coverage at the 20-yard line.
What a catch. Great concentration. 2 players. And Poor is shaken up on the way up, and he'll head over the sideline.
Colin Poor with a nice grab and double coverage, Jimmy. I'll tell you what, for him to be able to concentrate and pull that in was a wonderful job. 1:15 and counting. Brits have the ball on the 20-yard line.
See if they can finish with a score here. What's been a tough afternoon.
Turn and handoff inside the 15 to about the 30 to about the 14, 31. Jimmy, give us a new number. That's a new face in there for us here today.
31 is Jacob Clark, a freshman out of Livonia.
There you go. Jacob Clark getting a little time here for the Britons this afternoon.
I like on that handoff there, Thomas gave him a shove to get him in motion.
A little bit of encouragement before he let him go. Toss to Martin down at the goal line. Ball gets tipped away. Thrown to his back shoulder. Martin tried to pull it back in, got wrestled with a couple of defensive backs, and the ball goes out of bounds, incomplete. Third down now and 4 for the Brits with 40 seconds to play in this ball game.
You definitely give credit to the Flying Dutchman's secondary for getting their hands in there at the right moment to knock those. But you also, Jim, have to say that the receivers have not done Kyle Thomas a whole lot of favors today with many drops.
Thomas drops, throws into the back of the end zone, and this one's knocked away. Number 1, Van Vliet, got in front of Koski and was able to tip that away at the back of the end zone. So it's 4th down now. 34 seconds left to go in this football game. And the Brits with one more try at least. Still can get a first down at about the 10-yard line. So 4th down and 4.
I get taking your shots at the end zone right now. I mean, what harm does it do?
Thomas again in that backfield. Drops, has some time, throws it, and Martin was cutting out, and Thomas was throwing for an in. That's incomplete. 4th down, the ball goes over to Hope on downs with 29 seconds left to go in this football game, and that pretty much going to do it there, Jim.
I have to think the Flying Dutch are going to take one knee. Don't anticipate the Britons using either of their 2 timeouts to stop the clock. Again, 48-10. Probably one play, take a knee, shake hands, and Senior Day can be celebrated here in Holland, Michigan with a W. By the home team, I should say.
There you go.
Just in case you're just tuning in, it's 48-10 Hope over the Britons.
Been a tough afternoon here on a rainy, cold, nasty Saturday afternoon, first Saturday in November. Handoff goes right up the middle for a nice run of about 8 yards. And I think that will do it. The play clock is off. The game clock's at 22 ticks. And that's going to wrap it up for us here this afternoon as the Britons will fall 48-10 here at Hope on a Saturday afternoon. Again, next week we will be in Albion as Kalamazoo will come to town. The Britons will be looking to pick up win number 4. They will drop to 3-6 now in the year and 1-4 in the conference this afternoon. And next week we'll have Kalamazoo, and we will be on the air somewhere around 20 till 1 o'clock on the Britons Football Network as the Britons now and the Flying Dutch shaking hands at the midfield stripe as this one's over, and the Britons fall today 48-10. Big thank you to everybody here at Hope, including Alan Babbitt, who is the SID, who took very good care of us here this afternoon. Great afternoon of football here. Hope just a little bit too strong for the Britons this afternoon, and I guess we'll wait till next year to try to get back and see if things can happen a little bit better then. Any final stats, Jim, that we can go through before we get out of here?
Dominating performance by the Flying Dutchman, who improved to 6-2, or actually 7-2 overall. Oppel, 6 of 15 for 48 yards, a touchdown interception. The ground game was where it's at today. Chris Lay, 18 carries, 177 for 2 touchdowns. Mason Oppel, 18 carries for 140 and 2 touchdowns. And just in case you hadn't noticed a pattern here, Campbell 21 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. So as a team, 428 yards on the ground. For the Britons, they fall to 3 and 6. Kyle Thomas 22 of 35 for 132 and a touch. Also led the ground game, 13 carries, 40 yards. Zarnecki 9 for 30. They really couldn't get the ground game going. Neither team really did much through the air. Canfield 4 catches for 41 yards and the 1 touchdown through the air. Lay did catch a touchdown pass for the Flying Dutch, but yeah, it was a dominating performance. 428 yards on the ground, only 48 through the air, but 476 to 261. You want to know the game? The game was won on the ground. A lot of yards on the ground. Dominating performance by the offensive line. You have to get a lot of credit to the wide receivers, as we said before, also blocking downfield and opening up those lanes in the second wave.
Well, it's kind of a nasty afternoon, and it became even nastier when you take a look at the final score on that scoreboard today, as the Brits fall 48-10 here on the Britain's Sports Network, and we'll be back with you again next week to do a final live broadcast from Albion right here on the Brit Sports Network. Wrap everything up for us here today. How's that?
For complete details on today's game, as well as all other news and notes on the Britain's fall sports, visit GoBrits.com. You can also go on Twitter.com/GoBrits. Our thanks to Ken Reeker for doing production on this audio-only broadcast, Jim and Jim doing the call, and thank you to the staff at Hope College for their hospitality. Thank you for watching the Britain Sports Network. Have a great weekend, everybody.